Establish a couple of rules here. First of all, is I drink coffee. That's the first thing. Secondly, during the night, what I'm going to do is I'm watching different programs right now. I'm watching the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Fox News. I have the interactive map behind me. That's the way it is that I'll be marking off states. In between, because they don't have commercials on Facebook Live like they do on broadcast television, we have set up a bunch of different clips, which are all relative to both the journeys that I have taken through the country over the years, relative to the issues we face as a nation, people I've met along the way, black, white, Latino, you name it. We'll be playing those, and from time to time, I'm going to be taking your phone calls right there. Now, this is a new studio. We don't have everything set up perfectly yet. We're a work in progress. I've already told you that before. So bear with me. This isn't going to be a Fox level or CNN level style production. But as always, I'm going to deliver you the truth. I'm going to deliver you hard-hitting commentary, and I'm going to put it out there for you. Okay, our numbers continue to climb. So let's get into it right now. Here's what we know so far. So far, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, definitely 100% Donald Trump. It has been given, Vermont has been given to Hillary Clinton. Now, that's based on the Wall Street Journal, who's going to move a little bit slower than some of these other guys. Fox News has gone a little bit further. They've given Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Indiana also to Donald Trump. They gave Illinois to Mrs. Clinton, and they are pretty close right now to saying that they're going to give New Jersey to Clinton. None of these here are any surprises. Here are some other results that we have so far based on the Wall Street Journal. I trust what the Wall Street Journal is putting out, by the way. Ohio right now, early count is that Clinton is beating Trump. Also, North Carolina, Clinton beating Trump. Florida, Clinton beating Trump. Again, these are early results. These polls have closed as of 7:30, and now 8 o'clock. We just had another whole series of states close. However, because of voting problems in the state of North Carolina, that has been extended. Also, voting in New Hampshire, another key state that Donald Trump needs to win, has been extended. So some of these states that we thought we would know about early on, we're not going to. We may be going into this a lot later than we thought. Also, to put it out there, Virginia, which was supposed to be a slam dunk for Clinton and Kane, right now is shaded red. So I think we're in a situation here where we can basically bank on the fact that we're not necessarily certain that the map is going to turn out to look the way we thought it was going to look. Oklahoma has just been announced for Donald Trump. So a few things. How is it, because I'm getting the emails from you, how is it that they say, hey, we've already declared a winner? What they do is they take these outside polls when people are coming through, they take that with the other data that they've collected, and when they see that it's just a complete blowout, they feel very confident about calling a state. That said, something like Florida, North Carolina, it's going to be a while yet before those states are actually declared, all right? There are a few things for those of you who are Trump fans, which I'm guessing of the 11,500 I see right now on Facebook, and I know we've got another crowd with us on YouTube, that you're all Trump fans. Let me tell you a few things that are very, very positive for us as this night progresses. In polling, when people have come out and they've been asked questions, the question was, Trump's treatment of women, did that bother you? 71% said it bothered them. 28% said it did not. Here is something that is so infuriating. And this is one of the biggest problems we have as a country when we look at our media and how it is that our country has completely lost its way. The rumors, because that's what they were not substantiated claims. the rumors that got circulated around, the false allegations that got circled around about Donald Trump from the media is going to play a role tonight. Isn't that a shame? We had a woman who put out a lawsuit stating that Donald Trump raped her when she was 13 years old. Filed the lawsuit, was going to come out last week and have a press conference, pulled out in the last second. Just 2 days ago, says, I'm pulling out the lawsuit. It was all fabricated. But yet, all over the internet, all over broadcast television, all over the liberal media, it was pounded home how this man, and even on Fox News, how he could be a sexual predator. And we have 71% of people believing this sort of thing is true. Another thing that will absolutely bother you. How many people out there were bothered by Clinton's private email server? 62% said it bothered them. 37% said it didn't bother them. More people in the country are bothered by allegations that have all turned out to be debunked, or just the person came forward and said I was lying. More people are concerned about that than they are about national security threats by a woman who put out classified information on private email. A woman who said to her maid, go print out these classified documents. How America has lost its way? You all go back to one word: the media. These notes that I'm giving you right now is strictly because of the media. I have been saying this for how long, and you know it. You cannot have a country operate if you cannot have voters vote if the voters don't have access to truth. If the voters do not have access to what it is that they need to make an informed decision. These polling numbers right here prove that the media is actually picking the president. That is what it comes down to. The media is picking the president. On a good note, Latinos are showing up more than they were in 2012 by 1 percentile. But Trump is getting 27% of that vote. So he is getting some of the Latino vote. It's not as bad as they said it would be. The thing is that Latinos are coming out in huge numbers. There are 1 million more in Florida alone than there were in 2012. Again, comes back down to the media. If Latinos were told what Donald Trump really believed, which was that they could live the American dream and have a better job, if the criminal illegal aliens and the people who are working here who shouldn't be working here were sent back home in a humane fashion, which is what he's always said, but nobody wanted to listen, the Latinos in this country who are legal would understand that he was not anti-Latino, he is not anti-Hispanic, he is pro-America. And in being pro-America, he could have given the Hispanics and the Latinos the opportunity to live that American dream. But the media never gave him the opportunity to give that message. Another thing, black vote. Trump is actually doing rather well with the black vote. The other thing that they're reporting across the way is that the black vote is not showing up in some areas where they thought they would, and it's showing up in big numbers in other places where they were afraid they wouldn't, such as Philadelphia. So, some of the things I want to talk to you about before we play our first clip, and I'm also going to start taking phone calls from all of you. We're going to talk about what's going on tonight. Take a look here. There's no new news here in terms of any new developments, so we don't have to change the maps or anything to that nature. Let me see right now. So far, right now, the electoral votes, they give 68 to Clinton and 67 to Trump. This is based on, what is this based on? I guess this is based on what we've already given you here so far. I'll take a look at it after when we take a break. But let me get into the first clip. Donald Trump has run on a theme called Americans First. That's really what it's been about. Hillary Clinton has run on a theme that was, let me be the first woman. Two different people, two different campaigns. Trump should be blowing her doors off tonight. Should be blowing her doors off. His message of Americans First, and I'm saying this because I know that there are still people in a lot of states who still, where the polls aren't closed yet, very important states like Nevada. And I know you're listening. I can see the people who are in here. I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump's message brings you the American dream. Hillary Clinton's message of, I'm the first woman. If she wins tonight, it's not a victory for women. If she wins tonight, it is a victory for corruption. It is a victory for the media being crooked. It is a victory for the FBI and the Department of Justice and the IRS who fail to do their jobs for the American people. That's what it's a victory for. It's not a victory for women. Not at all. With that being said, I'm going to take my first little break here. We're going to play a clip from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, a few weeks before Donald Trump actually announced that he was going to run for president, I gave a speech to a group of Jewish men and women in a synagogue up in Massachusetts, a very blue state, and I explained to them that the next president, if he or she were to say, Americans first, they would not only be elected, but that they would put your life and your country back on track. So, to Mission Control, which, by the way, let me just tell you this tonight, we're working with Right Side Broadcasting, absolute champions down in Alabama. These are the guys who have been working with the Trump campaign for more than a year, basically going around to every single live event. These guys have basically been the lifeline for many of us to be able to stay in touch with the Trump campaign as he goes around the country. They are there tonight. Also with me tonight is my son is working the camera. He's an absolute all-star. He's got school tomorrow, but he's allowed to go in late, especially after Donald Trump wins. And they just marked off here that Marco Rubio has won his Senate seat in Florida. That's good because we need to keep the Senate, but I'm not going to say anything else about Marco Rubio. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm going to let more people jump on. Let's play that clip 500. I'm going to end up by saying this. This isn't about the Republicans and Democrats. And unfortunately, I don't see one person who's thinking about or talking about running for office who addresses this the right way. Not one. They all run around the topic because they're all cowards. The first person who would actually stand up and tell Sean Hannity or stand up and tell whoever it is on NBC, yeah, I'm going to deport all the illegal aliens. And you're not allowed in my country anymore unless you come in the legal way, like we have had a program legally forever and ever and ever. I'm sending you home. Somebody says that. Somebody says I'm taking care of Americans first. And then when everybody's on a pathway to the American dream, we love the pathway word, right? Pathway to citizenship. No, when everybody's on the pathway to the American dream, that's when I'll start worrying about everybody else. But right now, I've got Americans living in the streets. I've got Americans who are failing in school. I've got Americans who can't make more money than they did 7 years ago. Boy, why is that happening? I'll tell you why, because we're flooding the country with more workers. The first person who stands up and does that, and is actually given the time of day, is the next president of the United States. That's the person who will get your life and your country back on track. And until that person emerges, it's just going to be more of the same. I don't care who wins. It could be Marco Rubio. It could be Jeb Bush. It could be Hillary Clinton. It could be Ted Cruz. Not one of them is going to solve this problem the way it needs to be solved. And so ask yourself when you go home, as if we haven't depressed you enough already. Ask yourself when you go home, if you don't have the capability and the guts to solve the number one problem in the country, how are you ever going to solve number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? You're not. You're not. All right, welcome back. A few other little updates on that 2-minute drill, if you will. Alabama and Georgia are now in the shade of red, which basically means that what it looks like is Trump is winning those states, although they have not been declared his as of yet. Crazy as this sounds, and yes, this is crazy, and this is where you can actually pull your hair out of your head. Texas right now is being marked as blue, that Clinton is actually winning in the state of Texas. But again, let me see. Texas closed at 8 p.m. That's when it said that those polls closed, but that's 8 p.m. Eastern. So we still have some time. So anyway, right now she's got the lead in Texas, and she also has the lead in Michigan. So while we sit here and we just look at a map that is never going to wind up ending blue being Texas, I want to go over immigration. For different parts of tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the different subject matters and issues that we're facing as a country. And I'm going to talk to you about why it is that Donald Trump should be and will win this election. Should be our next president and will win this election. 7 years ago, I started doing all this. And this is when I met Megyn Kelly's and Bill O'Reilly's and all the other different people. And I went across the country, and I did so by rail and by car. And I did it that way because it gave me the opportunity to put my finger on the pulse of America. It's really it. You can't see it from an airplane. You certainly can't see it playing golf. So as I went through this country 5 different times over the years, each time, every single issue that faced the American people progressively got worse. What do I mean? If we're looking at schools, more schools were run down. If we're looking at hospitals, can't tell you how many hospitals I saw closed as I went across the country. But no topic, none of them, were as bad as the immigration topic. And I have been saying for a very long time that immigration is the number one problem facing this country. And at the end of the day, I do believe that that is why Donald Trump rose to the top very soon and right away, stayed that way for a very long time, because ultimately the people in this country who understand that not wanting illegal immigration has nothing to do with race, it has nothing to do with hate, it has to do with economics, it has to do with safety, and it has to do with the fact that our immigration laws were not designed for immigrants. They were designed to protect the American people. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Labor Department actually used to handle immigration when the country first started, if you will. The Labor Department held it for years and decades, and then it changed. And the reason why is because the government was supposed to protect American workers from foreign competition. That's why the Labor Department had it. Well, that hasn't been the case. The first guy I met along my journeys was a man named Tom. He's a carpenter, or I should say he was a carpenter, a full-time carpenter, a real tradesman, a guy who could build anything with his hands. You give him a piece of wood, give him something from a tree, and at the end of the day, it's going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. But I found this man, he was standing on a corner in front of a 7-Eleven store. And as I passed him all the time, one day I finally stopped, I got my cup of coffee, and I said, "What are you doing here?" And across from him were 200 illegal aliens, and they were always there across from him. And he says, "I'm not leaving this corner until these people are going home." I said, "Well, I don't get it." He says, "I had 20 plus guys working for me. I had trucks, I had bulldozers, I had everything." He says, "But these guys came in, and it's like they came in overnight. It was just, first it was 10 guys on the corner, then it was 50, then it was 120, then it was 180. He goes, "There's 200 guys on this corner all the time. Saturday mornings, sometimes it'll be up to 300. And he says, so eventually what happened was they underbid me, they undercut me. The guys who would hire these people were putting me out of business. I wouldn't hire them, it's against the law." He lost everything, this man. He lost his company, he lost his wife, he lost his family, he lost all of his equipment. And so what he did is he picked up side jobs whenever he possibly could. And in the mornings, every single day, whether it was snow or rain, it could be windy, 102 degrees, it could be 10 below. That man stands on the corner. I've never seen anything like it in my life. He started 9 years ago. Tomorrow morning will be hopefully the first day he doesn't stand on that corner, because Donald Trump will be the president of the United States. I want to play a clip from Tom. I just ran into him not so long ago, had my cell phone, grabbed it, and listened to what he has to say. Play clip number 402.
Welcome to South Heaven. I want to get the hat. So Tommy, you're all for Trump?
100%, 120% behind Donald Trump. He is the man.
Why is that?
Because he's going to solve the problems in this country without being politically correct, without worrying about anybody's feelings. It's time to worry about America. I believe he's running Dennis Michael Lynch's campaign from New Hampshire. He picked up in New Hampshire where Lynch left off. Thank God for Dennis Michael Lynch. Thank God for Trump.
How did you get the hat?
I guess one of his advocates rolled up here and asked me if I'd wear it. I said, no problem. Donald Trump, no problem. The man is talking what I want to hear. I want the problems in this country solved. I'm tired of hearing all the baloney and all the lies, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it never gets done. Donald Trump will get the job done. He's a man of resources, and he's a man of deliberate, how do you say it? Will. Deliberate will. He has the will to take care of the job and to finish it. And that's what we need. People start jobs and they don't finish them, and that's why this country's in the problem it is right now. We need a man that's going to finish the job. That's Donald Trump. Good morning, guys.
All right, so we're back. All right, let me give you a couple of updates here. This is how crazy this stuff is, all right? The map has now changed again in a matter of what, 5 minutes? Texas is back to being shade of red. Florida is a shade of red. Alabama, shade of red. And Kansas, shade of red. Virginia, still in red. Michigan, blue. Ohio, blue. A couple other ones that have been named. They have given her New Jersey. They have given her Maryland. They have given her Massachusetts. This is nothing that we didn't already expect. So right now, as things stand, everything is as it has been expected, with the exception of Ohio. Ohio, Trump has been leading in Ohio for at least the last couple of weeks, but in the last few days, Hillary has been making a big push with her celebrities like LeBron James and so forth. So I'm pretty confident, though, by the end of the night, that Ohio is going to be for Donald Trump. So getting back into the immigration issue. So as I'm traveling the country, and this is a huge part of the whole story, is the illegal alien. I started meeting illegal aliens and asking them straight out, are you taking work from Americans? They said, yeah, we know we're taking work from Americans. We actually feel bad about taking work. I actually asked one guy, and I said to him, well, why is it that you think you're getting the jobs and the American guys aren't getting the jobs? Why do you, if you feel bad, what is it? Why are we giving you the jobs and not us? He says, listen, I don't have to pay taxes. I don't have to pay any taxes. I don't have to pay the insurance. I could do a job for $300 that America needs to do for $500. So it's not like they're ducking it, and they say they feel bad, and yet they're allowed to continue to stay. Now, of all my journeys, of all the years I've been doing this, there is one clip that I have in my arsenal that no matter how many times I watch it, it still impacts me in the way that it did when I recorded it. The clip I'm about to play for you right now is 4 illegal aliens. One is from Mexico, 2 are from South America, and I believe 1 is actually from from Kenya maybe. They are in a classroom paid for by you, getting English as a second language. They don't pay for it, they get it for free. They get it for free so this way they could go and get a better job, basically competing against you. But it's not so much that will bother you. Guys, play the clip 401 of illegals in the classroom. If I was to snap my fingers and you were legal, so pretend like you're legal, okay? Do any of you ever plan to go home and have full-time residence in your home country, or do you think you're here for good?
I have a plan.
You have a plan?
Yes. I watch the young people, and I think they are, what's the easy way to say jerk? Not jerk.
Jerk.
Oh, jerk. Okay. Sorry.
A jerk is a jerk.
I can find
Yeah. I've been called one a few times.
So I don't want to make children here in this country. So I want to make money in this country and return to my country.
So then truth is that you really do not want to be an American.
No. Honestly.
I love the honesty. Why don't you want to be an American?
Because United States is not the best in the world, you know? The humanity change. Today, you pay for me. Tomorrow, my son pay for your son.
Yeah. One day, his son is going to pay for my son. When the illegal aliens realize what's going on in this country more than the actual American citizens do, that is a sad day. Donald Trump will fix that. If you're watching this right now and you have not cast your vote yet, understand that that problem is real. It is across this country at numbers that nobody ever admits to. The government has been telling you that it's 11 million illegal aliens in this country for how many years? Well, if you remember back when Romney and Obama were running against each other, they were using the number of 11 million. Actually, sometimes they would use 12 million. And yet we've had incredible surges that just don't stop. 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people per day coming through the border and just being let loose into the general public. Here's another thing I don't know if you know. We're going to play this clip for you right now. Obama will tell you that the borders are secure. Hillary Clinton will tell you the borders are secure, and she wants secure borders. She has never done anything for secure borders. I am going to show you a clip right now from Arizona that will absolutely blow your mind. And when you're watching this clip, I want you to ask yourself, what happens to this country if Donald Trump is not elected the President of the United States? Guys, I want you to run clip number 400.
The little pink two-story house is surveilling the border 24 hours a day. This is Border Patrol's access to the border.
And is that why we have 3 Border Patrol right there?
Yes.
And is this a crossing right there?
The port of entry is just right in front of us there.
All right, can we go up there?
Yeah.
So all those kids just went to school in Naco, America. And now they're going to go back to Naco, Mexico. How does that happen?
All you need is a P.O. box. Nobody checks it. And if you don't reside in the country, you don't have any business going to our schools unless you pay tuition, and none of them are paying tuition. And I'm going to go.
Okay.
NACO's border, the NACO station has 32.6 or 7 miles of border. So would you estimate there's probably 200 vehicles there?
Yeah.
I don't understand why we have so many vehicles, parked at the station. I've asked this question for years, and I never get an answer. But it sees absolutely nothing in the river because of the trees and the terrain.
So that camera sees absolutely nothing inside the tree line by Los Corrales.
Right. The light-colored concrete building is the safe house type situation. The square building to the east of that is just all dope. It's just a great big open building.
Has there been more crossings?
They've got a whole bunch of stuff trying to cross.
Yeah.
The majority of it's getting through.
Yeah.
It's a joke, it really is.
Is it true that they're really cutting you guys? I hear that they're cutting, making cuts.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Is that a different MSS on Deer Point than we've had?
It seems like to me that it's just like every other one that we have.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better tools.
But when Boeing was trying to sell it to us, they had it just running perfect. And now that we bought it, now we do the maintenance on it. And it's a bunch of guys that don't give a shit. And now, you know, the radars are off and everything. And, you know, and now they know where they're at. I guess they're using shields and stuff, or wrapping up in tarps.
Oh, man.
You know, so even with the infrared, you're not going to pick it up. You know, I don't know really how you win.
Start with getting rid of Janet.
Well, the rhetoric is so disconnected from reality that it's sometimes hard to see that they're talking about.
All right, welcome back. A few things changed in that small little break. We have now declared the fact that Arkansas and Alabama and South Carolina are all for Donald Trump. Florida right now, 91% in with 48.1% to Hillary Clinton, 48.9% to Donald Trump. That's 91% reported. Trump with almost a 1-point lead. That is close. Florida is too close to call. You know, it's perfect to be talking about what we're talking about here with immigration and seeing those numbers. When you go to Florida and you speak to people who aren't working, they will tell you, I can't get a job because I don't speak Spanish. Miami and Los Angeles, California, both places, English is no longer the primary language. If you think that that's acceptable, then you vote for Hillary Clinton. If you don't think that's acceptable, and it shouldn't be acceptable, you vote for Donald Trump. The fact that these numbers are this tight concerns the hell out of me, and we're changing this for a second here. No, all right, forget it. Now, that said, if you are in Florida and you can't get a job, and it's because you can't speak Spanish, should you have to go out and learn how to do Spanish? Speak Spanish? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is why immigration is the #1 issue in this country. And I'll tell you right now, the one problem we face is that the numbers are only going to increase. In just 4 years, look at how many more people are voting that classify themselves as Latino. And they're voting, by and large, 67% of them are voting for, actually more than that, 73% of them, I'm sorry, are voting for Clinton. Why? Because they don't want their family members to be deported. It's basically what it comes down to. They don't want their family members to be deported. That is what is crushing this economy. And yet when you ask these people, you ask all Americans, no matter what they are, what is the #1 problem that you think is facing the country? They say the economy. You can't have a better economy if people don't have jobs. It's so connected to each other. But the problem comes back to the same thing I've said to you. The media does not report this. The media never shows the kind of clip I just showed you. They don't show it at all. In fact, I wish I had this clip for you. ABC News was 1 week after I was down there in the area I just showed you in Naco, Arizona, ABC News was there, and they showed people that the border was secure. They went to one section of fence and said, look at this fence, how secure it is. And they talked about how many drones and how many agents we had. But they didn't give you the sort of report that I gave you. And that's why it is that Americans can't make good decisions, because they're not getting good news. They're hearing people who are anchoring news programs more interested in selling you their book than they are giving you the real straight news. Now, I'm going to play you one last clip here from an INS agent who basically puts it as well as anybody in the country. His name is Michael Cutler. I have learned a majority of the things I know about immigration from this man. When we come back, and it's only about a minute clip, we're going to be talking to somebody from Right Side Broadcasting who's going to tell you what it was like for him to actually be at every single one of these Trump rallies. This guy's been to all the different states. So cut to clip number 403, and I'm going to get Adam on the phone.
Well, you know, I once said to Lou Dobbs that nobody would break into the amusement park if they couldn't get to go on the rides. Is that if you are here illegally, you should not be able to get a driver's license. You should not be able to get a job. You should not be able to open a bank account. I understand now that the government has decided that it's okay to give flight instruction to illegal aliens. Think about 9/11. You know, we're standing here, here's the Statue of Liberty. This is what my mom saw when she first came to America as a 14-year-old girl. It's what my dad's parents saw when they came here. And they were thrilled to be here because it was a big deal to come here. Today, we are making it less and less significant to be a citizen or a resident alien or an illegal alien. We have so blurred the distinction. I mean, what is it that we're trying to tell the world? Come to America with the expectation not only of getting away with violating the laws, but be rewarded for violating the laws. That has to change.
All right, on the phone with me is Adam. He is from Right Side Broadcasting. This guy has been everywhere with the Trump campaign. He has seen all the different rallies. I want to ask him some questions. He's here on the phone. We're going to do it in the old way where you take the phone and you put it up to your microphone. You know, one day we're going to look back on this and we're going to laugh at the fact that we're sort of like putting this all together with Band-Aids. And I don't know, this one will go in the archives as our first broadcast. Anyway, Adam, I appreciate you being with me. Let me ask you a question.
Wait, Dennis, let me say something first.
Yeah.
Welcome to RSBN. I'm enjoying your show. I find it very compelling, especially your talk about immigration and the media. And I've gotten to see the media firsthand, and I really agree with you 110%.
Fantastic. I appreciate the kudos. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Did you spend any time in Florida?
Oh, yeah. I'd say I've been everywhere, man, but especially to Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina, and a little bit to Pennsylvania where I'm from.
Okay, so let's talk about Florida for a second, because this is going to be a nail biter. When you went to those rallies, what was it like? Was it any different in Florida than it was per se in another state? I mean, were the crowds huge? What did you feel when you were in Florida?
You know, there is a similarity between all the crowds. Every single one was packed to capacity, with two exceptions where they still were great rallies. In New Hampshire and Manchester one time, it was maybe only 97% full of capacity because they had to shuttle people from the airport. It was a terrible park situation at a sports complex, which was not meant for spectators, but for people actually using the fields. And people in New Hampshire are gated anyhow because, you know, they get all those guys up there for months in the winter.
Okay.
In Florida, it was an enormous equestrian center. That was my second to last rally I did just a few days ago in Jacksonville. So that wasn't completely full. I mean, for all practical purposes, you could see it was completely full, but it was maybe only 95% full. But that's because it was so huge.
So when you looked at the demographics that were there in Florida, what would you? I mean, obviously, were most of the people there white, and how old were they?
They were mostly white. I'm not going to lie. Right. But there were definitely exceptions. You can't look around these places and say it's all white because it wasn't. And there were minorities there, and obviously it's often very hard to tell when you're looking, you know, just through people quickly. You can tell who's African American fairly easily, but you can't tell who's Hispanic, especially so many Hispanics who are Cuban American. which is more relevant in Miami than in Jacksonville, Kissimmee, Orlando, etc. You just can't tell who's Hispanic, who's not a lot of the time, especially among Cuban Americans. The ages were different. I think you sometimes have a disproportionately higher number of retired people, one, because it is Florida, and two, because you don't have to go to work that day if you're retired. It's a little easier. Remember, these rallies are not going mostly on weekends. They're, every day, sometimes in the afternoon. So, it just, retired people are more likely to take a few hours off work or a full day off work.
All right, so then let me shift gears for a second. So basically the demographic at all of these rallies, because I've been to them as well, you tend to get the older crowd. And when I say older, I'm going to age myself here. I mean, you get the people who are 45 and older. It's primarily white, but you still do get, and we're going to be playing a couple of clips, you still do get a lot of blacks and Latinos who are showing up for the Trump rallies. When you were in the Carolinas, did more blacks show up at the Trump rallies, or did it still stay white?
The one I did 2 weeks ago, yes, but that was specifically targeted towards blacks that were. Trump had a plan that he specifically introduced there. Spoke with Omarosa for a little while afterwards. So and it was also a smaller event, which was invitation only. That was noticeable. Now remember, not every area is that black. In Greenville, in the northeast part of the state, I don't think it's that black an area near the coast. So that was overwhelmingly white. And I don't think Asheville has that high a black population either. But, so it really varies on the city more than the state, especially when we're talking about fairly large states.
All right, let me ask you one more question before we jump off here. When you talk about me, you hear me talking about the media. I mean, I was a part of the media for the longest time in terms of not only being a guest, but then having my own show. And you see enough things that make you pull your hair out, knowing the fact that the person on the other side of the screen isn't really getting the full story. When you were at these rallies and you saw ABC News, NBC News, CBS News, the guys and gals who were working for those media companies, did they have an anti-Trump sort of aura about them, or do you feel as if that came down from corporate?
I get the sense, especially with the younger guys, that they're doing what the suits want them to do. They don't get much say, especially the younger people at the local networks. I mean, I shot a video yesterday, for example, of a young lady at a CBS affiliate in Harrisburg. I was in Scranton yesterday.
Okay.
And it was shocking to me how she was talking over, giving a so-called report, not really reporting anything there, just saying the narrative that was given to her, while one of the heroes from Benghazi was talking on stage. It's like the Trump event is really just a backdrop for whatever the narrative is. It's not even reporting. It's like they tell them in New York, this is what you're going to talk about. Trump did not address the new charges against him by the 13-year-old, just stuff like that. And it's just a background a lot of the time because they have their own story that they're getting it. I mean, and I was not impressed by a lot of the people. I see a lot of mediocrities there and people who are full of themselves. I mean, I had a little incident with a guy from ABC yesterday who just was so full of himself he didn't care if he knocked into other people's tripods that had been set up to get the right picture. This was the guy you've heard of from ABC. Well, some of the guys were pretty cool. I mean, I enjoyed talking to. I get the sense that some of the older guys like Carl Cameron of Fox and Major Garrett at CBS were pretty professional, but the younger people just don't have a say. And especially, I mean, I hate to sound sexist, but some of the girls are there to be eye candy. And they're 1 or 2 years out of college. They're not reporting. They're just, feeding a narrative and looking fairly good, saving people from a trip to Hooters.
All right. Well, listen, I'm looking at my time here, and I've gone a minute over. I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate all the hard work. I've talked to Joe. I've met Brad. Actually, Brad was here in my studio. You guys, you basically did it without any sleep, and I think America, especially Trump fans, really appreciate what you guys did over there at Right Side. I'm going to jump off. I appreciate it in a big way, Adam.
What you do. Welcome to Right Side.
All right, buddy. Okay, so before we move into our next segment, I'm going to start taking some of your phone calls. And I want to play one more clip for you. This is from a job fair down in, I believe it was North Carolina. It was either North Carolina or South Carolina, where jobs are very tough to come by. And South Carolina has already gone to Trump. And by the way, taking a look at this right now, it is a shade of red going to North Dakota. Maine has also been turned to a shade of red, believe it or not, but I'm not going to get too excited about that just yet. Also looking right now at updated numbers here in Florida, 49.1% Trump, 47.8% Clinton. Folks, we need Florida. We need Florida. He gets Florida, this is going to be a good night. All right, I want to play this clip for you. It's people who have no jobs in Carolina. Clip 900. Give it a play.
I'm looking for a job for a few months now, but it's hard to find full-time work around here.
I've been seeing a lot of companies hiring illegal immigrants, paying them off the books cash, and they don't even look toward us because they can make more money for themselves and pay all these immigrants less money.
How long have you been looking for a job?
I've been looking for a job for the past year.
What kind of a job?
Anything available.
No jobs available. I haven't been able to find any, and I was looking earnestly for 2 years.
So I've been down here for 4 months. I filled out no less than 25, 30 applications at different places, and I'm applying for jobs that I never anticipated looking for before.
What do you think is going to happen if 11 million illegal immigrants are now allowed to compete for the same jobs?
Bringing more immigrants in is going to make it worse than it already is.
I'm all about us making it over here first before we can take care of someone else. I think that's the important thing.
I've been on unemployment for 7 months. I'm tired of unemployment. I want a job.
All right, welcome back. You just saying that. I mean, that is a mixture of blacks, Latinos, and whites of all ages. I met these people one after the next saying, I've been looking for a job for 2 years, for 2.5 years. These people aren't on the unemployment lists in terms of when you see the unemployment numbers that Obama puts out when he says it's 4.9%. These people have fallen off that number because they're no longer collecting benefits. They're sitting there, and most of them had given up. And they said, you know what, there's a job fair. I figured I'd try it again. Those people, there were people there who had master's degrees looking to get a job at Bojangles, cooking fried chicken, looking to get a job at Bojangles for minimum wage with a master's degree. This is what you experience when you go around the country like I've gone around the country. One of the places I've visited quite often, which is as blue as the sky, is Maryland. On the phone with me right now is Karen. Never met her before, never spoke to her before, called her randomly because everybody sent me their phone numbers and said, hold on, best indicator of election is the SP future. Okay. Sorry, I got a text here. Karen.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? What part of Maryland you in?
On the Eastern Shore.
You're on the Eastern
Near Ocean City.
Now, your state is extremely, extremely liberal. I'm assuming you voted for Trump tonight.
Yes.
Okay. When you look at the state of Maryland, what is the biggest problem facing your state?
Jobs.
When you say jobs, I mean, what kind of jobs? Everything?
Well, yeah, I mean, the higher paying jobs. The biggest eye opener for me right now is I have a 17-year-old who's a senior in high school. He has gone all over the place applying for jobs, and he has to be 18. I don't know when that changed, but I didn't even realize that. But Walmart, Lowe's, all of the, places that would be a great place for him to work, he couldn't even apply because he wasn't 18. But aside from his age,
When you hear that the unemployment rate is only 4.9%, and you have, meanwhile, we have 95 million people out of the workforce. We have over 50 million people on food stamps. I mean, do you see the disconnect there in your own state?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially on the shore. I don't know. This is just my opinion, but it seems like there's no incentive to get off of those entitlements, because I think the thought, maybe they think they can't make more than what they're getting from the government.
Is that one? Well, you know what? That's a great point. And I'm going to go into something about that very deeply. I'm going to go into that. But why do you think a state like Maryland, where you've got people out of work, I mean, you guys are loaded with illegal immigration. When you look at that, why do you think that your state continues to vote Democrat?
Now that I can't tell you. We did vote in a Republican governor, and he's done a great job. However, I just saw that the Senate race was called for the Democrat, but both of them did not come out and support Trump, and I think they both have shot themselves in the foot over not doing so. So I honestly, I think that a big portion of our state, I mean, I'm on the lower shore, so, the problems that we have down here are not the same as Annapolis, Baltimore, in that way.
Sure. Let me ask you.
The states that are the worst hit by the economy.
Let me ask you a different question. When did you become a Trump fan?
When? I guess a year ago.
Okay. Was he your first pick from the get-go?
No, he wasn't.
Who was?
Rubio.
Okay, so you liked Rubio first, and then you went over to Trump. When you look at what has been done to Trump over, let's just say, ever since the RNC in July.
Yeah.
As a woman, when you saw these things come out about, these allegations against him, and the reason why I bring this up is because they've done polling, they've done exit polling, 71% of people said that his treatment of women influenced their vote. In fact, another thing that they said on the exit polling was that they're finding as many people are voting against someone than they are for someone. So you put those two scenarios together and you get the fact that maybe people were voting against Trump because of these allegations with the women. As a woman yourself, you already said that you have a 17-year-old boy. Did those allegations, did they bother you? Why didn't they detract you from voting for Trump?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because it was just too convenient that 12 of them came out in 1 week, and then you have the likes of Gloria Allred, who I have no respect for. But then I did my own research, which I think that's a huge part of all of this, is that people are spoon-fed by the liberal media what they should believe, and they don't do their own research. They don't dig deeper, and it's just offensive to me, because the true victims of sexual assault are going to be looked at differently. Thank you, Hillary. And these people that was all a false narrative that they wanted people to believe, and unfortunately too many people obviously did. But I don't think the women's vote, especially the educated white female, which I am, and I have plenty of friends that are, I don't think those numbers are going to be as high as they think that didn't vote for him.
All right, well, last question before I let you go, and I want to say thank you for joining me this evening and giving us your input, and I want to thank you for following me on Facebook and participating.
Love it. Well, thank you for all you do for us.
Oh, it's a complete pleasure. When the night ends tonight, and let's say the worst case scenario comes to be, what do you do tomorrow?
Well, the only thing we can do.
No, I'm asking what you will do.
What I do?
Yeah.
I continue to pray for our country, just as I have, and continue to pray for our leadership. But more importantly, I think we need to continue with this movement, no matter what happens. And I think we need to hold people more accountable. And I think the silent majority has got to stop being silent.
So your opinion is, if the worst case scenario does come to fruition tonight, which I'm not ready to say that at all. I'm looking at this map, and this map changes more than Hillary Clinton's story about her emails. So when the numbers come in, if it does go in the wrong direction, you're not going to bury your hand in the sand tomorrow. You're not going to wind up getting yourself down. You're gonna keep that momentum going. You're going to keep that feeling going.
Oh, exactly. We have to. And I think this is just a huge wake-up call to America. And, our country has gone down a very slippery slope, and we've allowed it to happen, basically. And it's time that we, as a nation, wake up when, we've got people on a knee during the national anthem. I mean, things like this I never thought I would even be discussing. When we take God out of everything. And this is why we're in the shape we're in. And we've just allowed, the liberal and the left take more and more of our freedoms away from us. And we need to fight back, and we need to not be silent any longer.
All right, Karen, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. And you know what? We're going to win tonight. So no sense of worrying about what you're going to be doing tomorrow. I think we're going to win, too. I think I might not get to bed until 2 o'clock in the morning like you. But you know what?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the mainstream media is going to have a lot of egg on their face.
Let's hope so. All right, thank you so much, Karen. It was a pleasure meeting you.
All right, thank you. You too.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transition here into the whole woman category. In fact, back in Mission Control, I want to take a switch. I actually had clips 200, 203, and 201 up next. I'm going to fast forward because I want to go back later on to something else. I want to discuss this thing with women. I said this today during my walk and talk, and for those of you who are just joining for the first time, I do a walk and talk every single day. Basically, I take the phone, and I usually with my wife, and I hold it like this, and we walk for about 20 minutes I walk for more than 20 minutes. I walk for about an hour and a half every day. But we walk and I talk to you and I give you stats, I give you figures, I give you what's on my mind. We talk about so many different things, and I can't believe how popular it's gotten. I mean, I get more people, or so I'm told, I get more people coming onto my Facebook Lives than Hillary and Obama get combined in their rallies. So it's a very popular thing, and it's 11:40 a.m. every single morning. I do it every single morning. And if it rains or if it starts to get inclement weather, I sit in my car and do it. So I'm with you every morning. Set your alarm on your phone, and if you want to start getting really healthy, if you're not healthy already, take the walk with me. People are now doing the walk. They're putting their phone, and they're just listening to me as if they're listening to me on the radio. Clinton won New York. Okay, so we just got now notice that Clinton won New York. That's about as shocking as me telling you that... What, Ryan? How shocking is that? It wasn't a shock at all. New Mexico, what do we have here? New Mexico is 1% in. Okay, so we're pretty far away from that. I'll change the board on our next clip. But anyway, I want to go into the whole woman thing, because a lot of the people who I'm interacting with at that 11:40 hour, there's a lot of women. You know, my wife walks with me, and we talk back and forth, and I read all the comments. And I'm always amazed about how it is that Donald Trump has been held to a level of scrutiny that nobody else is. These people who hold him to this, who say these nasty things about him. They say he's terrible to women. Have you ever seen his wife and his daughters? They're beautiful. They would not stick around with this guy if he was abusive. These women came out with these allegations. They all came out all at once. We've had every reason to believe after WikiLeaks that all these different networks are in collusion with the DNC and with Hillary Clinton and her campaign. I'm sorry. I'll be the first guy. My wife will tell you I've had more fights. Even my son will tell you, still at this age, if we go out to a restaurant and somebody's sitting 2 tables down from us and they're cursing or they're acting up or whatever, I will get up, go over to the table and say, hey, there are women. There are young girls. Calm down, guys. I'll do it every single time. I believe Donald Trump is that same kind of guy. I just do. I believe he's that same kind of guy. And yet we've got people at 71% saying the way his treatment of women turned them off. I want to play a clip. I don't know if you've ever seen this video or not. If you have seen this video before, maybe this is a good time for you to go get yourself a coffee, a beer, or some other beverage, or go do whatever you got to do. I know what I've got to do. We're going to play this clip here of actually guys, this is clip 203. This does come out of the segment before. 203. This is a black female who is an employee of Donald Trump. Clip 203, Jake.
Today, I was compelled to sit down and write this letter, not to anyone in particular, maybe even just for myself, but as a black female executive at the Trump Organization, I can no longer remain silent about the repeated and reprehensible attempts to align my boss and his family with racist hate-mongering groups, campaigns, and messaging. As the daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama, who rose against all odds to become one of the most established and respected doctors at Yale University, there is no amount of money in the world that could buy my loyalty to a family that subscribed to such intolerant and bigoted ideologies. The Trump family that I know is, without question, one of the most generous, compassionate, and philanthropic families I've ever had the privilege of knowing and the honor to call friends. They have been incredibly loyal to me and to the countless dedicated people they employ around the world, hiring more minority and female executives than any other company for which I've ever worked. To equate racism with my boss's call for a temporary moratorium on a flawed immigration system that radical Islamic terrorists continue to exploit, or the construction of an impassable wall to protect our borders from the influx of illegal drugs, is not only incendiary, it's wholly irresponsible and only serves to embolden the very hatred these draconian groups espouse. What common sense American wants another terrorist attack on our soil, or to perpetuate this country's rampant drug epidemic? But to compare my boss to Adolf Hitler, simply to spin your own political agenda or social media punchline, is a personal affront to the extermination of over 6 million Jews and trivializes one of the worst acts of human genocide this world has ever seen. Rest assured, I am a highly intelligent, free-thinking, and independent woman. My opinions and decisions are based solely in fact, not fiction, speculation, assumption, or hearsay. I do not vote based upon the color of my skin, nor the signature on my paycheck. I judge my friends and forge my allegiances from direct personal interaction and moral character. That said, there is no higher barometer by which to measure oneself than the one continually set by this family and their spouses, and I should know. Like many Americans, I have struggled with substance abuse and addiction. The Trump family has stood by me through immensely difficult times without hesitation or concern for their own reputation by association. They continue to trust me with every aspect of their lives and the lives of their families. They invite me into their homes and welcome me at their family gatherings. For the past 6 years, I have held an executive position as it pertains to the distribution of their charitable funds, and they have charged me to identify worthy and altruistic missions. I could not be more humbled. This is the Trump family that I know. Only up until now, it's all just been opposing campaign rhetoric and paid protesters. But then, a letter came. And I thought to myself, who does this person think he is to threaten to kill somebody else's family? Any family. this family, my family, all because of a political race, a campaign. But then I realized that this isn't just a race to Mr. Trump. This isn't just a race to his family, nor to our veterans or the unemployed. And because of that, this family is willing to risk their own lives each and every day for the greater good of this country. But I would be lying if I said I didn't fear for them now. There is a movement sweeping this brave nation, and I am honored to have a front row seat to it on a daily basis. This country has spoken. My boss has justly earned the Republican nomination and broken voter registration records in countless states across America. This cannot be denied. He has brought this party together by drawing more Democrats, more independents, and more first-time voters into the GOP fold, and has earned more Republican votes than any other presidential candidate in modern history. That must be respected. To the skeptics who will undoubtedly claim that I'm doing this at the behest of the Trump family or with the promise of reward, I deliberately chose not to seek their approval nor counsel in advance of this video for fear that they would be more concerned for me and its potential viral ramifications than they would be for themselves, and the fact that quite simply, this is the right thing to do. For me, it was an easy decision, just as voting for my boss, Donald J. Trump, should be an easy decision for you. God bless this family, God bless the voters, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, welcome back. You know, it's funny, the first time I had seen that video, it actually brought tears to my eyes. And I'm wondering whether or not it did to you as well. That is, I think that is one of the best testaments to who Donald Trump and his family is. And you know, that's an important thing. Before I have another caller on here, Lady Cindy from California, we're gonna hear about her voting experience. It's very interesting. But, you know, let me say this. One of the proudest days of my entire life, we were at a restaurant, and I had my kids around, my wife and I, we have 4 kids. And on this particular day, my kids were they were having lots of fun in the restaurant. Not unruly, we never like that, but we were loud and laughing, having fun. And my youngest daughter and my youngest son both asked me about 1,000,001 questions, and I never had a chance to actually eat my food because I was constantly giving answers. You know, stuff like, Daddy, why is the sky blue? And at some point, 2 people next to us stood up and they left, and my concern was that we had ruined and spoiled their dinner. So, because we were noisy or whatever. And they had walked by and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am," and she stopped. And I said, "I apologize if we disturbed your dinner. You know, I know we were a little noisy." And she turned around to me, and she was older, she was probably early 70s, and she said to me, "Are you kidding me, sir?" She says, "You're one of the best fathers I have seen in the longest time, and your children are beautiful. How nice to see a family so happy at a time when families are no longer families." And it wound up being one of the greatest compliments I ever received, not because it was about me, but because it was about my family and my children. That's the greatest compliment any man or any woman can get, is a compliment about your children. When you look at Donald Trump's children, I mean, please, this is it's a model of what you want your children to be. They're family men, good mothers. They have their children. They're hard workers. They keep themselves with class and style. There was a video that was out not more than maybe a week and a half ago of Donald Jr. in Arizona. If you've never been to Arizona and you're wearing stuff like this, it feels like it's in an oven at 180 degrees. He gets out of a car, not knowing anybody's filming him, gets out and starts helping a woman, a black woman who was broken down on the side of the road. He's pushing her car off the side. This is a billionaire doing that sort of thing because he's just a good person. When you want to see what a man is, you want to see what a leader is, you look at their kids. Look at his kids. I'm getting upset on something I should be so happy about. Okay, I want to go to Cindy, her name is. Cindy, she's from Southern California. You know, Cindy, let me just prelude this before you give us your story. Obviously, I'm from New York. When I was a young guy, probably 15, 16, 17 years old, the dream that we had here in New York was to move to California. I mean, you know, California was the place to go. Now, California is a nightmare. I mean, you couldn't get me to even consider living there. What has happened to you? What has happened to your state?
It is so sad here. We're being inundated with, you know, bluedom, if you want to call it that. And it's the youth is being directed and led down this path and being guaranteed and promised all of this, and they look at everything like it's a reality show. And unfortunately, the generations that we have now are not being parented because, and a lot of it is too, because the parenting skills that we have are being taken away from us anyway, by the government and by, you know, the school districts or whatever else, and so we're not able to do that, and our lives are so busy and whatnot. So our kids are really being led by the media, by the outside entities, and so they're getting way too much information from outside the home. So it's very unfortunate, but that's you know, our life here. And with California, we're so diverse, and everybody's. We don't know each other. Our next door neighbors we hardly know, you know, a lot of times because people come and go, they move in and out, and it's not like small towns where you know your neighbor, you know the next door neighbor, you know the street next to them, you know. So it makes it difficult. It makes it very difficult to keep, you know, your children and your family intact, really.
What would you say is the number one problem facing your state?
Oh, gosh. I would just say jobs, I guess.
Jobs,
yeah. What? Jobs and or maybe drugs, because, you know, it's so scary how we have right now on the ballot in Southern California, I guess it's all across the California here, for legalizing marijuana as well. And I mean, from day one, everybody, including the media, has been saying how it's going to pass, no problem. And I mean, I'm in the medical profession, and I just see it as, you got to be kidding me. We can barely keep up with the patients as we are right now, with the drug infestation, with these people that come in. These people are on the road, and the police, as it is right now, cannot figure out. They don't have the skills or the equipment to figure out whether or not they have illegal, like if they're alcoholic or if they're, you know, they have intoxication. If the people don't want to, if they have the right to say no and deny that test, you know, of course they can take them into jail.
All right, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off for a second. I want to ask you something specific about what you just said. You said you're in the medical field. When you talk about drugs, one of the things that Donald Trump brings up all the time is the heroin epidemic we have in this country. And I believe one of the reasons why New Hampshire is going to wind up going to Donald Trump tonight is because I was there. And when you talk to these people in New Hampshire, they say that over the past 4 or 5 years, the drug epidemic, the heroin that has taken over that state, they've never seen anything like it before. And I truly believe that when people pull the lever, they're going to pull the lever and say, who is best going to protect my state, my family, my children from this drug epidemic? How bad would you say on a percentile, 100%, 200%, how worse has the drug epidemic become since Obama has been president in your state?
Oh my gosh, just since then, and that's basically when I became a nurse, really. So I can see it gradually. Every year we have more and more clientele that are coming in with addictions, and we have no control over that, and they're not compliant because they are addicted. As soon as they come back, as soon as they go out, they come right back with the same addiction. There's no change because it's so they can get it at any time. They can get it on any corner.
Okay. So before I jump off with you, I want you. You said you had an interesting story about your voting experience. If you could give it to me in 2 minutes, because I got to go to another clip. In 2 minutes, tell me what took place.
Okay. So I went in to vote. Voted every year since I've been able to, since I was 18. This is the very, very first time ever I was denied a vote, in a regular vote.
What do you mean?
Ballot. I was told that I was sent a mail-in ballot, which I did not request, did not receive. And I questioned it. They said, no, you just have to go over to that table, fill out a provisional voter receipt. And what is this? Well, you can fill this out, you can still vote, but it will be held until after the election when they count all the votes. And then as soon as they find out that we do not receive a mail-in ballot of yours, then we'll count your vote. And I was like, but how is this happening? And while I was there, 3 more people, same thing happened to them. And then another person, after I went to turn mine in, another person. There was a separate table set up just for that. And when I talked to the gal, she said, oh, this has been happening all night long. And she worked there at the polling place. She worked there, and she was the one that was kind of in charge. And she said, this has been happening all night long. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on, but this has been happening all night long.
All right, well, Cindy, I appreciate you sharing that story with me. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about voter fraud now and voter problems. And I appreciate you dialing in tonight. It was a pleasure meeting you. And good luck over there in California.
Thank you for everything you've been doing. We so much need you up there because you're giving us all the information that we couldn't get anywhere else.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know what? As we continue to really develop what we're doing over here, you'll see, you won't be able to tell the difference between us and these other news programs, with the exception of we give you what it is that you want and need to know versus try to sell you a book. All right. So thanks so much again, Cindy. We'll see you later.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to talk about that today. When my wife and I went to go vote, we go in, and obviously our names are right next to each other on the voters roll. And they said, what's your name? Mary Lynch. Okay, what's your name? Dennis Lynch. Okay, boom, boom. And they handed us 2 ballots. And the kind of ballots we have, you go over, you take the marker, you circle in, and you go over to the machine, you stick it into the machine, it does the tally. So after they hand me the ballots, I said, are you not going to ask me for ID? And they said, no. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, no, no, we're just going to check your signature against the last time that you were here. And I said, oh, okay. So I signed my name, and I waited for them to check, and they didn't check. I said, so you're not going to check the signature? And the one woman said to me, well, what we do is we see, if you look like you had been drinking or something like that, we would actually check to see the signatures. Now, here's the thing. Over the last couple of years, as I've gotten more into doing media and online, I've been using DML more often. So the way I used to sign my signature was Dennis M. Lynch. That's the way my signature is going to be on that roll. The way I signed it today was the way I sign it now all the time, DML. The 2 signatures would never match. They're not even, it's not even close. So that's how lazy it has gotten. That is how blatantly disgusting we have gotten. We are the most advanced country in the world. We can clone sheep. We can look and see who's in an actual room over in Iraq and zap the room. But we can't figure out how to do this voting? It's so different all over the place. And then I went and I filled out my little, my card, and I went over to the machine, I stuck it into the machine, and it said calculated. And then after it said calculated, I said, do I get something? Can I make sure that my vote was for the people I voted for? And he said, no, we don't have it. I said, you got nothing? And he said, no, there's a paper thing inside the machine. It's absolutely ridiculous how archaic and disconnected this is. It's insanity. And I have always talked about how it is that immigration is the #1 issue in this country. And it is. But we are never, ever going to trust the American system again if we don't fix our elections. Because if we lose tonight, the majority of Trump fans and supporters are going to say stories like Cindy, but only worse. We've gotten stories sent to me today. I've got so many, I can't even read them. We got so many people emailing us pictures and photographs and all the different problems that people are facing. There's no integrity in this, and it's very, very disturbing. Okay, I'm going to play another clip because my voice needs a little bit of a break. I'm going to keep the theme of women, and I'm going to keep the theme of black women. I don't think anybody knows this. Not many people know it, and it's not something I really talk about too often. But guys, just so you can prepare in the office, in Mission Control, clip 202 is what I'm going to play in 2 seconds, but I want to introduce it. So last year, after I had withdrawn from possibly running myself, I took a little bit of time off, still building my normal media business I have, but I mean, took time off from being out in the spotlight. And I wound up getting a phone call from a guy who said, you've got to look at these two women. They're on YouTube. They've got these videos. They're about 10 minutes long. They love Trump. And this is right after Trump announced. It was pretty much about like July of last year. And he said, you got to take a look at them. See if you could do something with these two girls. Meaning, like, can you define them a little better? So I go on, I look at these two girls, and they're ranting and raving about how it is that they love Trump. So I watch a couple of their videos, and it's profanity. I mean, filled with profanity, filled with insults towards Marco Rubio and everybody. I mean, to the point of where it was just like, wow. But in between the insults and the profanity, there was real talent. And above the talent, there was real passion. And the fact that they were both black women from Carolinas saying that they were for Trump, I knew that this was nuggets of gold. So I reached out to them, and immediately I said, listen, we need to give you stage names because, first of all, I'm concerned for you. There are nut jobs out there, and I'm reading some of the comments on your YouTube channel, and people are saying that you need to be killed, you need to be hung, all this other different stuff. We need to change that. We can't use your real names. I said, and on top of that, you need it because if we give two names, it will stick. So I called them Diamond and Silk. So yes, for a lot of people who don't know out there, I was very instrumental in making Diamond and Silk. The second thing I did was I said, you got to stop with the physical insults of people, and you got to stop the curses. What I want you to do is I want you, Silk, to always have something in your hand, some kind of prop, have a drink, color the drink, make it sometimes blue, make it sometimes red, make people always guess what it is that you're having there. It's the comical part that helps get through the entire video. And as for the other one, I said, Diamond, I said, you seem to be the great mouthpiece. So you sit there and you just rant, but you don't curse and you don't insult. And so the very first video they ever created, they came back to me after the first debate. I looked at it. They made fun of Marco Rubio's ears. I said, girls, you didn't listen to me. I said, you got to go back. I said, you could, if you want to hit Megyn Kelly for giving those questions to Trump, you can do that. And I went down the talking points with them. I said, now you put your passion into that and make a video. Well, they made the video, and I sent it off to a couple of different outlets. The next day, they were on the cover of the Drudge Report. I got them on CNN, Fox, HLN, blah, 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 you name it. A month later, Donald Trump is calling them up on the phone directly saying, hey, I want you to start going around with me. And these girls have been fantastic in helping getting the message out about Donald Trump, not just in general, but to the black vote and to the black female vote. So I want to play a video I'm very proud of on multiple levels of Diamond and Silk, the very first video that they actually were Diamond and Silk. Give my voice a little bit of a break. Guys, 2.
Hey y'all. Hey. Okay, so it's a day after the debates, and y'all know I am mad as hell. Okay, and I would be pissed off. Okay, but see, somebody done already tried to come for Donald, so I got to come for them. All right. Okay, here we go. Now. Last night on the debate, Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly asked Trump to respond to the comments he made about women on Twitter. Okay. And on his former NBC reality show, The Apprentice. Right. And this is what she said. When it comes to women, you call them fat pigs, dogs, and slob, Kelly said. And then only Rosie O'Donnell Trump interrupted, and then, the audience started cheering, okay?
Yeah.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell, Kelly reported before finishing her question. Here's the damn deal, Megyn Kelly, or Kelly Megyn, whatever your name is. Rosie O'Donnell started that whole foolishness.
Yeah.
She was on The View, and she the one spoke out against Donald, and Donald had to come back on her. So I don't know why you gonna make this here a part of your forum last night. Perhaps you don't need to be hosting debate. Perhaps what she need to do, maybe it's time for us to file Kelly and make her go back to report news at the local news. Try Sesame Street. Maybe you should go back and report news for Sesame Street or debate with them. You don't need to host another debate.
No.
You don't come for Donald like that. He ain't done nothing to you. Y'all always breaking up his past. He don't do nothing to nobody unless you try to do something to him.
That's how he
Once you do something to him, he go ahead on to do something to you. So listen, let me get this straight.
Get it straight.
You low below. You hit below the belt, Kelly. You hit below the belt, girl. But blow on this.
Blow.
Leave my man Donald Trump the hell alone.
Leave him alone.
If you got something to say, you got something you want to tell him, run it by us first.
That's right.
Run it by me first, and I'll let you know whether you have permission to come for him. Don't come for him unless he invites your ass. Okay? That's all I got to say. And you can't do this here. And see, I was all okay, prepared to talk about all the other candidates, but this bitch right here, thank you for censoring me, pissed me off. Trying to come for Donald last night, and now they trying to make it look like he lost the debate. He the only one up there that has common sense. He is the only one up there on that stage with common sense. And listen, he's gonna be the next president, whether you like it, Megyn Kelly or Kelly Megyn, whatever your name is or not.
MK.
Get used to it, girl. Get used to it. Because you know what? I think they call her show either Megyn File or Kelly File, whatever it is. Maybe it's time for her to file out. File out. Go report the news for Sesame Street. I would love to see you sitting up there with Kermit and Miss Piggy. Okay? And you know what, Kelly? They already say you look like a tabloid Barbie doll.
That's
a tabloid Barbie doll.
That's what they say.
You know what? I wonder which tabloid is she working for? Who is trying to push you to destroy Donald Trump?
All right.
Who is it?
Who is it?
We got to get on top of who it is. That's that's after her to make her destroy Donald Trump.
All right.
And see, we wouldn't talk about none of this.
No.
We would never talk about it. But I woke up with it on my mind. Pissed off with Megyn Kelly or Kelly Megyn, whatever her name is. Leave Donald Trump alone. Leave Donald Trump.
Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Period.
Bye.
All right, so welcome back. I love Diamond and Silk. I'm sure you guys love Diamond and Silk as well. On the phone with me, I have a woman named Bethany. She is a first-time voter. She is from West Virginia. Before I go asking her questions about what it's like, how she felt to vote for the first time, and by the way, I could hear in the background she's got a little one, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions about that as well. But one of the other things that I have felt as I've gone around the country when I talk to women is that they are excited for a woman to be president, but they just don't want it to be Hillary Clinton. So, I want to make sure that that's a very important thing. So that said, Bethany, I appreciate you being with me. You are a first-time voter?
Yes.
All right. So may I ask what your demographic is? Your like your age. What group do you fall in? The 20s, the 30s?
I'm 24.
You're 24. Okay. So this is the first time you voted. I'm assuming you voted for Donald Trump.
I did.
Why?
Because I don't want to watch this country get completely destroyed by her.
And what would make you? What makes you say that she'll destroy the country?
I've seen the lying. I don't think the country can stand 4 more years or 8 more years of Obama. In
a girl form.
Okay.
Donald Trump resonated with me with the things he said over, the things she said. I don't,
Let me stop. Let me hold on. Let me stop.
She's in politics.
Let me stop you on that, because that's I want to go on that point. You said that he said things that resonated with you. If you had to pick one, what was it? What was it that Trump said that you said, yeah?
That he's going to bring back the jobs. My husband used to be in the oil field.
Okay.
And he got laid off, and now he's working at building windows for a company. And we have 5 kids, actually. And supporting them is getting harder and harder because we can't get ahead. He works full-time, and we still can't afford ourselves.
So when he was working for the oil fields and now he's working in, I guess you would say, construction, right?
It's a window factory. It's like a warehouse job.
Okay. Did he have to take a pay cut?
Yeah.
He did.
Major.
A major pay cut. And so you're feeling that in a big way, yes?
Yes.
How?
Yep.
Aside from the fact that he took a pay cut, and I'm going to ask you a personal question here. If you prefer not to answer it, that's fine. I understand it. But there's a feeling you get when you have a job you love, or you have a job where you feel like you're getting paid a fair wage. I know this as being an employer. I have people today that I employ. I've employed over 1,000 people in my day. When you hand somebody a paycheck and they know they earned that check, they feel good about themselves. When your husband now goes out to work, he's got to support you and those 5 kids, and he sees that paycheck, and it's less than it was, and he's getting his taxes ripped out from him. Do you see a change in him? Is there a bit of maybe his spirit that is not what it used to be?
Yep, everything keeps getting harder, and he makes maybe $1,000 every 2 weeks if we're lucky, and we live in an apartment that we're renting, and we're lucky if we're paying rent every month and electric, and
that is tough. So what are you hoping Donald Trump will do for you?
I'm hoping that he brings back jobs, that my husband can find a better job, because he's qualified to get a better job. He has a college degree, but he can't get anywhere. Even his brother, his brother has a degree in engineering, and he works at Papa John's.
Hold on.
Making pizza.
Now, see, it's, I don't know if you're watching on Facebook or not, but I just told the story before about how I was down in the Carolinas. And you're one of your kids. I was down in the Carolinas. I was at we just played the clip. I was down at a job fair, and there was a man down there, probably in his mid-40s, had a master's degree, and he was actually filling out the application at Bojangles, which is a fast food restaurant. And I talked to him, and he said, I paid all this money for school. He goes, and I can't remember exactly what he was able to do. He said, I got a PhD, and he goes, and I'm going to be cooking chicken. If I'm lucky enough to get the job, they're going to tell me I'm overqualified for the job. So here it is. You're saying he's got a degree and doing what? Flipping pizzas?
Yep. And before that, working at McDonald's.
The impact it has on you and your husband as a couple. Again, I'm getting into personal questions, but I truly believe that the conversation I'm having with you is the conversation that happens in the majority of families across this country. And when I was considering running, this is one of the things I always talked about all the time. Because we've lost the family unit in this country, because we have created it to be so hard to raise a family, especially like you with 5 kids, because we have put such burden on people who have to go out and earn money and try to put food on the table, ultimately what takes the hit is the relationship between the husband and the wife. And it starts to become less about love and more about money, not greedy money, but just trying to survive. And that puts such a burden on a relationship. And it's the strongest of people who just try to get through, and even then they can't get through. And when you hear somebody like yourself, you're 24 years old, I mean, how do you and your husband just sit down sometimes and just, I mean, what's the worst day like in your house?
Well, I mean, me and my husband, we don't fight too much.
Good.
But, I mean, my family lives in Pennsylvania. His family lives here. We're a 4-hour drive, and we can't go see my family because we can't afford the gas. We can't afford to go anywhere. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't work because nobody wants to babysit 5 kids at once. And, when we do get into it, it's because, we don't have the money to do the things that we want to do. And, the worst, trying to figure out, do we have the money this month to buy, enough diapers, or, do we choose this, our food or our diapers? Or, and we use WIC, and we still can't afford all the formula because we have a 3-month-old baby, and we still can't afford it all. Because we can't get what we need.
So if Hillary Clinton wins this evening,
I will cry.
Will you cry?
I will cry.
You will cry.
I will.
When you
Because
go ahead.
She's promising all these things, and I don't believe one thing she says.
Well, when she promised things, I mean, are you talking about jobs?
Oh, everything that she said, 30 years in office, if she was going to do something, it would have been done.
Okay. Your family, you said, is in Pennsylvania, a major state, one that I have predicted that Trump will win. Right now, I'm looking at the map, and it's shaded blue, which means that early results show that it's trending toward Clinton, but not there yet. Your family, do they feel the same way you do? Did they vote for Trump?
No, sadly, most of them voted for her.
Why?
I have uncles. They don't really talk politics in my family much.
Okay.
So I couldn't really say why. I know my cousin who lives there, she was actually campaigning for Hillary the whole time.
Let me stop. Let me stop. I have a question on this, all right? Because this is another thing. This election has created a situation where a lot of people have lost friends. A lot of people are not talking to their relatives anymore because of the if you like Trump, there must be something wrong with you. If you like Hillary, there must be something wrong with you. And that's because both of them have such high unlikability numbers. When you see you struggling and your husband struggling and you can barely get by, and you've got your cousin, and your cousin knows how it is that you're struggling, does she give you a good excuse as to why she voted for Hillary, or is she go into that bucket of, I'm not going to talk about politics?
Oh, she doesn't really. Haven't really talked to her much in years. Just because we don't agree on a lot of things. I love her. I love my family, and regardless of what happens tonight, I will still love my family.
Well, that's good to hear. All right, so let me last question for you. When I know you said jobs, all right. When the stuff came out, because we've been talking tonight about the polls, And the exit polls are showing that 71% of people were troubled by Trump's treatment of women. That's how they described it. And yet only 62% of people were troubled by Hillary's email server. So more people were concerned with allegations that are turning out to be fabrications than they were on emails that were classified, that were basically confirmed were sitting on a server that shouldn't be. When you hear that at 24 years old, what do you think is wrong with a country that votes in that way? And do you think the media plays the role? Because you're a millennial. You're 24 years old. So although you got 5 kids, so you're well beyond your years. So when you see that, who do you blame? What do you blame that on?
I think it's the media twisting things, mainstream media. And people are going to believe what they're going to believe. And you can talk to somebody all day about why you think they're wrong, and they're not going to listen because they're hard-headed.
Yeah. Yep.
And I talked to my mom about this earlier today, and I said, and she was bringing up the allegations about Trump, and I said, but Hillary, she was in office for 30 years. She should know what the letter C means by now.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. I'm looking at the time here. I'm up against the break. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for calling in tonight. Especially you got 5 kids at home. God bless you, and God bless your husband. And Trump will win tonight, and your husband will definitely wind up finding a new and better job. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for following me on Facebook and participating tonight. God bless you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good to meet you, Bethany. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. In the last, when we talked to Cindy in California, she had said, she had started talking about entitlements, and I forgot I wanted to dive into that. Here you have a guy, got 5 kids, he's got his lovely wife at home, trying to do anything he possibly can to feed those kids, even if it means going to get a job that is below his education level or his skill set level. My concern has always been, and it's proving to head more into that direction, and this is part of why it is that Obama does and Hillary does what they do, is that you get good, hardworking people like this who want to go out and earn a buck. And yet it becomes so difficult for them after a while. Like she said, they have to go on some sort of government assistance. And the more that they find themselves on that assistance, and the less that they find there are opportunities for them, the harder it becomes to get off that assistance. And so what I have seen in traveling the country year after year, and these people talk to me, they talk to me straight out like she did. She gave us the personal answers when I asked for them. Good people who never thought that they would be collecting a welfare check of one type or another, not only are finding themselves collecting those checks, but now feeling as if they need to vote in order to protect those entitlements. These are good, hard-working people that in every other shape, way, and form are conservatives, are Republicans, are people who believe in pro-business and pro-capitalism, that believe in being self-reliant, but they can't find work. They can't find opportunities. And slowly but surely, they have to protect those entitlements, and Obama and Hillary know that. That's why something like Obamacare, that's why they start with something like Obamacare, because what is more important to you than your health, right? You get into a situation where now you're dependent on the government for your health care. You're going to start voting that way for the rest of your life if you think it's going to be taken away from you. You start adding on an EBT card, or you start adding on some of these other entitlements, and that's how he knows he shifts the country, meaning Obama. We have approximately 110 million Americans working full-time. And going back months ago, and I'm talking maybe 12 months ago, we had about 103 million people collecting some sort of means-tested welfare. I'm sure that number is up more, and this number has probably come down more. When that officially switches, when we have more people waiting for their monthly welfare check than we do people getting a weekly paycheck, we have lost this country. And Hillary Clinton is going to head us in that direction. God forbid she wins tonight. That is what I just gave you right there. Have you ever heard anybody ever say that on television? Ever? Other than maybe Sean Hannity and myself? Nobody ever talks like that. And yet that is the way that the country is headed. You hear a young girl like this, 24 years old. How's she going to get out of that hole? 5 kids. Now the argument will be, somebody will say something like, well, she shouldn't be having all these kids. Really? God wants us to have children. God wants us to procreate. God wants us to have families. That's what the alternative is supposed to be? We'll stop having kids? That guy's not having kids and sitting home. Guy's having kids and he's going out and he's working hard and he's trying to feed them. God bless him for having so many kids. God bless him for trying to work hard. I want to play one more clip with the theme of women for Trump. I love this clip. It's only a minute long. And I'll probably play another one right after that too, because I'm losing my voice. I didn't realize how hard this would be to go. I don't know how radio guys do it, man, for 3 hours. My goodness. Guys, I'm going to play clip 100. It's this was taken not so long ago. Women, I believe, waiting on a Trump rally line. And here's what they had to say about Donald Trump. Give a
Nobody cares. The way Mr. Trump handles his personal life and what he does is his business. It's not going to affect me. What's going to affect me is Hillary. Supreme Court, open borders. She's going to make Merry Christmas a banned phrase. That affects me. My husband and I will pay $6,000 more in taxes if Hillary gets in. She's not. People are angry. Mr. Trump is our only hope.
Oh, I've heard it before, and it's not who he is now. You know, that was years ago. And he's going to focus on our country and on us, the Americans.
Every woman deserves to be heard, whatever side you're on. Hillary Clinton said that the women who make allegations deserve to be heard, except the ones who accuse her husband. Those she attacks, those she threatens. She threatens those people. No, this is not the country I want.
What's the message? The media is lying. We like Trump.
You like Trump?
Absolutely.
The fact
Love
that
him.
he does that locker room talk doesn't bother you as a president?
Doesn't bother me. I've heard worse in the schoolyard.
Now, what I'm saying is that Donald Trump is running for president, not to be the next Pope. So come on, stop it already.
All right, so we're going to change directions here a little bit. We're going to bring in a guy. We're going to have a guy on. His name's Frank. He's in Connecticut. But before I introduce him, I want to give you an update on some of the polling here. The results are Florida remains absolutely too close to call. As far as what other things look like, right here, Colorado and New Mexico right now are lightly shaded blue. Wisconsin and Minnesota are slightly red. So too is Michigan. So too is Ohio. So is Virginia. North Carolina, which was shaded blue before, is now shaded to red. Georgia is shaded red. Florida is shaded red. So far, if this continues, this is going to be a great night. Not only that, but it's going to be, my electoral map is going to look really close to what it is I predicted. The only one that I'm a little uneasy about is Pennsylvania remains a shade of blue, but I'm confident that thing's going to go red. So we're going to be looking at this, and I will keep you updated. But I want to go right now to Frank. Frank is from Connecticut. Frank, you live in liberal land, man. So how hard is it to live in a liberal state and be a Trump supporter?
It is not easy, Dennis. It's not easy at all.
All right.
Luckily for me, I have a neighbor behind me, and he has a nice white Never Hillary sign on his front lawn. So we have many talks about it while we're mowing the lawn and everything.
Now, Frank, have you always been a conservative and a Republican?
Not even close. Unfortunately, following the footsteps of the union that I'm in, I regretfully voted for Obama 2 times.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I'm realizing the error of my ways.
Why? You know what? I want to stick on that for 1 second.
Sure.
You voted for Obama the first time, and I get it, although I would never have done that, but because I'm really conservative. But the second time is what confuses me. Why did you vote for him a second time? Was it you didn't like Romney, or did you think he just needed more time?
I think maybe part of the message that Romney was putting out to perhaps the middle class didn't strike home to me like the way that Trump's message comes across.
Okay, and what in Trump's message is it that you like?
It's about jobs and stopping the illegal immigration. There's many men that I work with in my union that are, we're pretty split, down the line 50-50, which is very rare with the local that I'm in New York City. And the part of the issue is that the Hillary supporters are saying, well, what about your job? She supports unions, which is true. But every job that Trump has ever built in New York City has been built union in the last 25 years.
So let me ask you this. So when you cast your vote for Trump, the number one thing that drove you was the job market. Now, when we go back and say jobs, so are you struggling to find work, or are you just voting to try to protect the work you have now?
Well, I am fully employed, so I'm not looking for work. But the argument is that if Hillary gets in and all the refugees and all the illegal immigration comes in, then jobs that we're going to be fighting for our jobs. I'd rather fight for my job in perhaps a right-to-work state, if anything like that crosses, as opposed to worrying if I'm ever going to have a job at all, because it's going to be taken by cheap illegal immigration.
Okay, so, all right, so I've asked you these questions knowing where you were going to go. So I have always been a champion for the stopping of not only illegal immigration, but mass immigration, because I understand that it's lowering wages. I understand that it's taking jobs away from good Americans. We played a clip before from a carpenter, actually a master carpenter, who lost everything because illegal aliens came in and undercut his prices. So ultimately, for you, Trump's message about immigration and controlling the immigration was what drove you to say, I'm voting for Trump.
That's pretty accurate, correct.
Okay, so the guys that you said they were 50-50. You guys were 50-50. How many people actually called you a racist or a bigot or a hater because you were pro-Trump?
There were a few. I don't, not that many, because there are black men that I work with that are voting for Trump today. And they live some Pennsylvania, some New Jersey, New York. And so I don't think that resonates anyone in this field being called a racist because of that. So there are a few that say it, that don't really fully understand his message or misunderstand his message. Saying that you want to stop illegal immigration doesn't mean that you're a racist.
So in your neighborhood, and you don't have to tell us where in Connecticut you live, but in your neighborhood, have you seen an influx of illegal immigrants? And I guess the way you would have the litmus test there is by people who don't have the ability to read, write, and speak English?
Not in the town that I'm in that I have noticed. Perhaps my neighboring town of Bridgeport, maybe they do.
Okay.
That's more of a lower income area than where I am, and I live in Fairfield. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Okay.
And I've worked my way, and I've worked my fingers to the bone to get where I am today.
When you look at this, I got two more questions for you, and then I got to jump. It's almost time for another break. When you look at the whole election process, and I'll take it just in the last 6 months, what has disappointed you the most?
That's a tough question. There's a few things that I was disappointed with, the way that Trump was perceived in the media, with maybe the locker room talk that apparently caused a big whirlwind of what's going on. And not that I agree with it, but as things like that are said on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that it's right, but that's just when you throw a group of men together, silly things come out of their mouths, and there's no doubt about that.
Right. But and let me tell you something, Frank. We have a strong women viewership here as well. I'll put something out like that, and I can't tell you how many women come back to me and say, Dennis, let me tell you, women talk the same sort of dirty sort of talk. And I said today during my Walk and Talk Live, the first person who has never said anything that's stupid or egotistical or maybe pushes the envelope a little bit too much, step up and say that you're perfect. There's nobody who's perfect. So that was one thing you were upset about, how the media focused on that. Was there something else that just made you disappointed in the whole election process?
I know, when it comes with every presidential race, all these mudslinging and everything that goes on, but when you go and look at the WikiLeaks and all the other information that comes out, who in their right mind could vote for a corrupt, I won't say it, but a very corrupt individual like Clinton? She's horrible. The lives that she's ruined, it goes beyond measure, that some people just have blinders on, I guess.
All right, Frank. Well, listen, I appreciate it, man. Let's hope for a Trump victory by the end of the night. I appreciate you calling in, and good luck with everything with your job in the union. And thanks again for following us on Facebook and being a supporter, man.
Thanks, Dennis. I love your videos.
Thanks, brother. All right. So, two things here before we play another clip. There are a couple of media outlets who are actually calling the state of Virginia for Hillary Clinton. Wall Street Journal hasn't gone that far, but others are. On my electoral map, which has 284 electoral votes for Trump, I did not have Virginia on that list. So if we do indeed lose Virginia, in fact, I'm going to mark it as being in the blue when we go to break. Just wanted to give that to you. We still are too close to call in Florida. So that said, I'm going to play another clip here. I want to move into something that I had asked Frank about. One of the other tactics of the left and of Hillary Clinton was trying to make Donald Trump out to be a hater. And if you listen to all these different interviews that they have with people from the left, he'll say he's anti-immigrant, he's anti-Mexican, he's anti-everything. And they try to make it as if all of his deplorable followers are haters, and it's just absolutely crazy. And we're just getting it now that Montana is called for Donald Trump, which basically was, that's like calling that bird's fly. We sort of knew that was going to happen. And right now, it appears as if what we've got here with Utah is going to wind up going to Trump as well. But anyway, I want to play a clip here. When people say that Trump is a racist or that Trump is a bigot, they back it up with he wants to build a wall, and he said that the people from Mexico were rapists and drug dealers and criminals. That's not what he said, and we all know that. But that's what they play. That's the soundbite they play. We know that he said, and some are good people. And that is the truth. Some are good people, and some are not good people. And so he's not a racist. And I challenged in my journey a black gentleman from New York. And I asked him if he would please explain why it is that Donald Trump is a racist, because he had an entire board on him that said that Trump was a racist. So guys in Alabama, right side, we're going to play clip 201.
You always have division.
Has Donald Trump said anything about blacks that upset you?
Well, he said that, what did he say? The only thing I remember he said about blacks was he said, blacks love me, and I don't believe that for a moment.
But he hasn't said anything bad about blacks, all right?
Not bad.
Okay, so then maybe he's not a racist? I don't know.
No, he's definitely a racist, though, in my opinion.
Just not against blacks?
Well, against blacks, Arabs.
But wait, I want to understand this. If he's racist against blacks, what did he say that would make you say that?
Because he lied when he said that blacks love him. He lied. What proof do you have that blacks love him? Love him for what?
But that's not a racist statement.
It's a lie.
No,
he's saying something that's not true. Okay.
All right, but specifically racism, though, because this is a pretty bold sign. So I'm asking, just from a racism standpoint, has he said anything about blacks that it's racist?
I don't know everything he said. He's talking right now. I don't know what he's saying. Okay.
Any possibility that he hasn't said anything racist against blacks?
No, that's impossible. He had to at one time or the other.
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing because the left uses that tool. You're a racist. You're a bigot. They call out these names. They have no regard for even the fact that they're saying something so despicable to you, or calling somebody like Donald Trump a name because he says he wants to build a wall and protect Americans and American workers. You challenge them, they don't have anything to say. The guy couldn't even come up with anything. I said, well, then maybe he's not a racist. Nope, I'm sure he said something. Probably, that guy was bought and paid for by George Soros. Probably. Just saying. I'm going to play one more clip for you. Excuse me. Hillary Clinton is not going to do anything for the black community. Nothing. She is going to do zero. When you look at the majority of the cities throughout this entire country, the ones that have crumbled, the ones that are suffering the most, and then you go back and you look at who has been managing, if you will, governing those cities and townships, it always comes back to Democrats. You look at Chicago, you look at Detroit, these places are a mess. I've been to these places. I go to the places where you don't see these other people go. It is a mess, and it's filled with good people. I was in Chicago not so long ago, and I went through basically one of the murder capitals there. And as I was going through, I was actually interviewing people, and they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, what is wrong with this guy? I mean, I wasn't there to buy drugs. I've never done a drug in my life. I wasn't there to get a prostitute. I don't do that either. You know, I'm pearly white, and I'm going through this place. And one guy's like, what are you doing? I said, I really want to talk to you and understand what the problems are here. Because I can't understand why you're killing yourselves. Why is the black community killing themselves? And the guy was, it's like I hit the lotto. He says, well, we're not only just killing ourselves, he says, but we're just getting killed. His son, unfortunately, had been killed just months earlier in a drive-by shooting. And so I asked him, I said, what's the problem? And he said, it didn't pause. Drugs. Drugs are the problem. He said that 10% of the people commit 90% of the crimes. And listen to this, in these sort of areas, they need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and be finished with their daily routine, going shopping, cutting the lawn, getting groceries, you name it, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because right after that is when the criminal element comes out again. They're up all night long, they sleep it off, they do whatever it may be, and they're back out again. This is what this guy's telling me at about 9 a.m. in the morning. And I went around half of the time with a cop. He was off duty at the time. He wore a bulletproof vest. Didn't have one for me. I said, really, you're gonna wear a bulletproof, you're wearing a vest? He said, are you kidding me, man? You don't know how bad this place is. And so he took me around to different places. And he said the same thing. The people that are causing the problems, it's only 10%. I said, well, why can't you stop it? He says, because we're not given the resources. We're not given the resources at all. We can't stop this. He's like, it's like trying to put your finger on a hole and then all of a sudden another hole, and you put it on that hole, another hole, another hole. The drugs keep coming in, the guns keep coming in, and they have the strictest gun laws around in Chicago. And yet they're still killing each other at rates that are unbelievable. This year, again, we're breaking more records. So when you look from an entrepreneurial standpoint, and I'm an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 18 years old. What entrepreneur in their right mind would open up a business in that area or anywhere near it? Nobody. Nobody. And so what happens is, and you go around in these areas of South Chicago, you'll see there was one place, it was a candy factory, huge place, completely knocked down to the ground. Asked the cop, he said, yeah, they left. Too much crime. Too much crime. Who wants to be here? Nobody wants to be here. Even if they could get cheap labor, they don't want to be here. So I come back to, look at Chicago. It's been controlled by Democrats. It's Obama's old stomping grounds, and that's the way it looks. And so the black vote continues to go to Democrats. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is a function of not having strong black leadership. If we had, you look at this guy, he's on Fox once in a while, now he's on all the time, Sheriff Clark. I mean, he is absolutely sensational. You have more guys like that step up, and you have a president like Trump who vows that he will stop the drugs from coming in through the border, or at least cut it down significantly. These problems go away. And as I went around that Chicago area, and then I went around Detroit, and I asked time and time again, everybody gave me the same answer: drugs. And the reason why these kids go to gangs and the reason why these kids go to drugs is because they have no jobs. They have nothing to aspire to in the morning when they wake up. They have nothing. And you know what? Think about this. How do you tell a 15, 16, 17, 22-year-old who can't find himself a job, even if he wants to find a job, he doesn't want to be in a life of crime. He doesn't want to be in the life of drugs. But yet guy could make $500 a day selling dime bags. How are you going to stop that kid from doing that? He needs to survive. He needs money. It's the culture that's around there, and there's nowhere else for him to work. This is what Democrats do. This is what Democrats create. And yet the black vote continues to go to Democrats. Donald Trump would be great for the black community. And I'll tell you why he'd be great for the black community. Because he will see it as a challenge that nobody else has been able to fix. Nobody else has been able to help these terrible, terrible places that I'm talking about. And they're all over the country. Nobody has been able to fix them. And the way that he's a guy, North Carolina, this is in the Senate race. The Republican Burr won North Carolina. Big, huge, thank goodness. That also turns around and gets me kind of confident, the fact that maybe we will take North Carolina. Right now, it's shaded to the red. I like that. One thing now that has been shaded, which I don't like, is Iowa is shaded blue right now, and it's getting sort of late. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. I have Iowa going to Trump, but let's see. We still got some time on the clock here. Anyway, I want to play a clip for you. It's a short clip. It has gone completely viral on my website at DennisMichaelLynch.com. Guys in the studio, it's clip 200. It is of Hillary Clinton being asked a question by a young black student, and listen to the way she rips into this man when she thinks that she's off camera. Play it, guys.
What does Mr. Clinton think through the mouth of Mrs. Clinton, and what does Mr. Mutombo think on this situation? Thank you very much.
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband.
Okay, so let me give you a couple updates here. First of all, the electoral votes right now, depending on which media outlet you're looking at, and I'm looking at a whole bunch of them. I'll go with Fox. Fox right now is calling Trump 150, Clinton 122. Don't let that get you excited, because the second that California gets tallied, that number jumps up. It all comes down to Florida right now. A couple of things I just want to give you from the Wall Street Journal, which is the one that I like using. Right now, North Carolina is shaded to the red. We already know that Virginia has been given, and I have to change it on the big board, but Virginia has been given to Clinton. Pennsylvania is still in the blue. Ohio's in the red. Michigan's in the red. And Wisconsin's in the red. When I say in the red, I mean shaded red. Doesn't mean that it's been declared the state for Trump. Just means it seems so far, based on the results that are in, that it's trending in that direction. Arizona is now starting to do calculations, and it is shaded red. New Mexico and Colorado, still shaded blue. Florida is shaded red. The last time I checked, we had over 91% in on Florida. Trump was up by a point and almost a point and a half. So he's doing pretty well, considering the fact we're getting down to the very end. And anybody else? New Hampshire, the other one that I'm telling you we're going to have to watch. New Hampshire is shaded red. Folks, we get Ohio, we get Florida, we get New Hampshire, and I might start doing cartwheels here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. All right, so what do we have next? I'm going to take another phone call. I'll call somebody. You know what we'll do? We'll call them on. We'll call them, and they won't let them know we're calling them. That should be fun. Let's see. What do we got? Let's try George and Rose. You ready? Watch. Call George and Rose.
Available now. Please leave your name and phone number after the beep. We will return your call.
Hey George, hey Rose, this is Dennis Michael Lynch. I have you on Facebook Live. I know I didn't give you a heads up. I was just trying to do a little funny, maybe call somebody. Listen, I wish I would have had the chance to talk to you. Maybe another time, maybe another Facebook Live. Alrighty, God bless. We'll try one more until we start getting into the next conversation. They don't do this on Fox News. Funny, they used to ask me on Newsmax if I would do phone calls. And I said no. All the other shows did it. And you know what? Now looking back, I wish I would have done it. You guys are great. This is Marty in Mississippi. This would be a good one. Let's see.
Hello?
Hello, Marty?
Yeah.
How you doing? This is Dennis Michael Lynch. You're on Facebook Live. Sorry to surprise you.
Oh, wow. That's great. No surprise. Great.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. All right, so a couple of questions for you. Yeah, Mississippi, no surprise, has already been announced for Trump.
Right.
What station are you watching right now?
I'm not watching anything. I'm watching your feed.
You know what?
I'm watching your network because they're so liberal. I mean,
I love
really getting the truth? I mean, no. So why bother?
Marnie, I'm telling you, you better send me your address. Send it to us in email. I'm going to send you free movies. The fact that you just said that,
real.
that was fantastic. See, now you know it's not staged. I called her with no heads up. So let me ask you a question, Marty.
Yeah.
And don't give me the emotional answer. Give me the educated answer. How do you feel about Donald Trump tonight?
Well, I've been thinking all night. I wonder what he's doing. What are he and his family doing right now? I mean, my first inclination, I feel really good about it. However, there is this hesitation that something will go awry and there'll be some mischievous deeds with the election. That's my hesitation.
Is that, Marty, that's one of the things that when I look at the feedback and the comments that I get from people, the one thing that I always get, you can't escape it, is people have really lost faith in so many of our systems.
Right.
What for you specifically has led you to feel like that? Is it the different reports of voter fraud throughout the country, stuff that you always see on my website that we're reporting on? Is it the FBI and what they've sort of dropped the ball, how they've dropped the ball with Hillary? Is it the fact that she has no regard for the law? Is it the media? What is it? I know you could probably say all of the above and get away with it, but if you had to pick one and drive it home, which one is it?
Unequivocally, it has to be the corruption within our government and within the FBI and within those that are, in our government. You would think that whenever we re-elect these officials, whether they are in Congress, in the Senate, whatever it is, you would think that whenever we elect these individuals, that they are going to man up and do what's supposed to be done, regardless of the party. Regardless of but you would think that they would do what's right. It's the human thing to do. However, people aren't doing it because they have their own agendas, and they push those. And either or, they are intimidated by the powers that be. And quite honestly, I mean, we've seen the things that the dicey things that Hillary Clinton does within her campaign and within her staffers and different things. They don't want to come up missing. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, there's too much at stake. So I think there's a lot of fear.
Have you been? Let me ask you a few questions about Trump specifically. Were you a Donald Trump fan from the get-go?
No. I saw his television show. I've been to New York multiple times, and different things like that. And I followed him along the way. And I also know that along the way, I mean, he's been someone that has caught my eye over the years. I'd say probably 20, 30 years maybe, something like that. He's caught my eye as a person that had a lot of power and that he had a lot of intellect and that he was a leader. And he was one that was able to drive the masses toward a goal and toward a common good and a project, I guess you could say. Many don't know that Donald Trump is the one that spearheaded the Rockefeller Center, the skating rink in Rockefeller Center.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dumped-on project. It was one that was going to fail. It was behind budget. It was It was going to fail, and he jumped in and he made it so. And now people from all over go to Rockefeller Center, and they take their holiday pictures. They skate. They have marvelous family time, and those are the type of things that I look at, Dennis, because it was something so small to him, and it was just within his state, and it led me to believe, I said, well, if he is capable of taking something so small and handling it with such care, I am going to put my faith in him to handling something as big as America's problems right now.
When you look at America's problems, and you could be specific to Mississippi if you want to, what do you see as being the biggest problem facing America?
I see the biggest problem is unemployment, and I see the biggest problem is everybody wants to be taken care of. And I don't say everybody, that's a blanket. I don't even say that, but most people, they have this mindset, and they feel trapped, in other words. I think that more times than not, if people could get an honest paying job, think about what that would do for their morale. They would feel empowered. They're making their own money. They're making their own dime. They're in control of their future. Right now, they don't realize, or they're coming to realize, that they're under the government control right now. And they're just not going to be able to get out of it. If Hillary, let's empower. I mean, this is not going to happen. Donald Trump will see the things that he's done. He creates jobs. He creates people. He gives people, helps people have that vision again. He gives them hope.
Let me ask you one final question before I jump off here, because I have so many people who are asking me for a chance to talk, and I want to be able to get them all in. When you look tonight at the final results, I'm feeling as confident as I ever have felt that we're going to take this tonight. I really, truly believe it, because I'm looking at the electoral map now as when you compare what has been called and what is trending red. I'm feeling very good about the 3 states that we needed to win: Ohio, North Carolina, Florida. They're all looking towards the red. The one that I thought we would get was Pennsylvania. I didn't think we'd get Michigan. Michigan right now is in the red, shaded red, and Pennsylvania is shaded blue. I'll do that swap with no problem, although Pennsylvania does come with more votes. But let's say, for instance, for some crazy reason, like you said in the beginning of the phone call, Hillary Clinton is the president of the United States. Okay. Are you going to accept that and support her, or are you going to find it virtually impossible to do?
Well, I've always been taught that you respect the office, but you don't necessarily have to respect the things that they espouse. And so I think that if she is elected president and she puts all of the things that she proposes to do in the making, I wonder some of the things that we can do. I mean, first and foremost, it will lead our nation to more prayer. That is for sure, because they will see firsthand everything, prophecy come into play right there. What can we do? I mean, what do we do, Dennis? I mean, that was my main question to you. What do we do? What can we do as a country if Hillary Clinton is elected president?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to take that question, and I am going to answer it if the strangest thing happens tonight and she wins. But I don't think I have to worry about answering it. I can tell you, look, I mean, anybody who's watching here has been watching for a while. I've always been a guy who writes his notes on the paper. I'm probably underprepared. Didn't cut enough clips. Don't have enough. I don't have a teleprompter or anything like that. I just go off the hip. But when I had to think about what I say at the end of the night, if Trump wins, I just said I'm going to let it come from the heart. If Clinton wins, I couldn't get myself to go through the motions of what I would say. I will not do it. I'm asking you the question. It's unfair of me because I won't answer it myself. So you know what? Let's hope I don't have to answer that question. I have to jump off. I have to make another call. I appreciate your time.
19-year-old here, this is her first time to vote.
You're 19-year-old.
She's 19. This is her first time to be able to vote.
And she voted for Trump.
Yes, of course she did. Of course she did.
She's a millennial voting for Trump.
Not because of my, tutelage there, I guess you could say, but because of the things that she's seen. I said, do your homework here. Look beyond what you're seeing in the media. Read things. Read everything you can get your hands on, and then make your decision. And you call a spade. And I think that unequivocally, her decision was Trump. But I just want to make sure that, those young voters, those first-time voters that went out there, and if by chance Hillary Clinton is elected president, and, it can be disheartening to them, and I don't want them to lose heart in our government, in our system. I think that America can be revered. I think it can be a power player again. But I do worry if Hillary Clinton is elected for 4 years.
Well, it's not going to happen.
And I just worry for those
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I thank you. I thank you so much, Marty. It was great meeting you, and I hope you continue to stay on. And like I said, email us your address. I'm sending you a bunch of movies for saying the fact that you're watching us and you're not watching anything on television. I appreciate that.
You got it, bud. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, darling. Okay, so a few things I want to read out to you here. Ohio just called to Donald Trump, baby. Donald Trump has won Ohio 53% to 42%. Oh, does that feel good? Oh, does that feel good? Yes, Ohio is called, and oh, do I feel good. I just got a chill down my spine, and that's a good chill. We are calling Ohio for Donald Trump. That is a huge announcement. That is huge, and they're going crazy at Trump headquarters right now. They're probably going crazy at Right Side Broadcasting too, because they're tied into those guys live. So the fact that we got Ohio, as far as I'm concerned, that is one of the major 4 that we had to win. We had to get Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, or Michigan. You get those 4, and we're saying President Trump. That's the way I feel. I might be going a little too far with that, but that's the way I feel. But anyway, it feels good to put Ohio in that corner. Okay, so nothing like taking you down after putting you up. But I want to play a clip because my voice needs a break. Okay, so I want to play a clip. This clip here runs for about 4 minutes. Guys and Jake, get ready. We're going to play clip 700. This clip here, let me go over this part here. Donald Trump has done so many amazing things. He really has. To get where he's gotten, he had to go through a crooked media, a crooked academia, crooked Hollywood and entertainment, crooked GOP, and the most dishonest politician in U.S. history, Hillary Clinton. He has had to go through all of that. The gasoline to fuel him has been the American people. It shows you how much stronger and how much more power we have than those other entities. Those other entities have taken control of this country for too long. And the part of Donald Trump, which I'm always going to be thankful for, win or lose, is that he was the bull that went through the China cabinet and just knocked everything over that needed to be knocked over. And when he did that, we got to see what was behind those walls and its ugliness. And if there's nothing else that comes out of this election, it's the fact that he brought all of those people he smoked them out, he brought them all to the surface, and we really see what's out there. The guy, to get where he is, has had to overcome so much. And yes, there is voter fraud. And yes, there are delinquencies when it comes to voting, as you've heard from some of the people here tonight. And the GOP, out of all the things, the media, the fact that he flushed out the media is one thing. We're still going to have a massive fight in our hands because they're so powerful. They reach so many people. I mean, even like a night like tonight, we're going to only reach so many people compared to how these other guys are going to reach. But the fact that he broke up the GOP, the days of Paul Ryan's and Mitch McConnell's and Romney's, those days are done. They're done. The movement that Trump has started, win or lose tonight, but specifically with a win, is going to carry on for a very long time. And he's going to pass that mantle down to other people, maybe guys like myself, who have that same sort of passion for America, have that same sort of passion for business, love the American people, love veterans, will do whatever we need to do to ensure that not only we win, but the country we love wins. The fact that my kid and your kid and everybody else is going to have a country that gives them the ability to have opportunity in the American dream. That's what Donald Trump, above all else, has done. That said, I want to play a clip right now from a fantastic lady. Her name is Patty. She runs a blog called 100% Fed Up. She gave me a tour of Michigan last year. Part of it, we went into Detroit. She was a poll watcher. And the story that she tells you goes on in these places, and the fact that the GOP does nothing about it, that's the other thing that we have to talk about before I play this clip. Think about it. This guy's going to take Ohio, and the governor, the Republican governor of that state, blatantly said, I'm not voting for you. Could you imagine what this electoral map would look like if he actually had the support of the GOP in the way that Romney had the support of the GOP? This wouldn't even be half a contest. That said, let me give my voice a break, and before I go wind up getting so excited I pass out here. Play, guys, clip number, which one is it? It's the Michigan clip. I think it's voter fraud. Clip 600. All right, is that what it is? Play clip 600.
Just absolute blatant voter fraud happening. We saw somebody coming in with a blind person who set that person down in a chair. It was a homeless person, and proceeded to vote for that person, and the blind person had no input whatsoever into the voting process. We tried to challenge votes, and the supervisor ignored us. She told us to shut up. She physically threatened me. She came up to me and put her chest against me and told me to back away from the table. We were physically threatened a number of times. We called an attorney in to witness everything, and the sad part is the attorney witnessed everything that was happening, all the voter fraud that was taking place. And when we asked the Republican Party what they planned to do about it, we couldn't seem to get a response. They never pursued it, and we never heard anything. We had kept track of all the ballots that we had challenged, the numbers of the ballots. We had taken great records, and when we tried to find out what the Republican Party planned to do about it, they wouldn't do anything.
How long were you there for? Were you there for a couple of hours?
At this polling place, we were there for about, I would say, between 2.5 to 3 hours during the voting process, and then we stayed after and we watched them going through the books and taking information out of the books, which could have caused them to be found guilty for the wrongdoing that they were doing at the polling place. But
were the majority of voters minorities?
Yeah, I would say the majority, but not all were.
No.
And there was a point where the supervisor was physically threatening me, and she was yelling at me, and the people in line were actually cheering her on to assault me. So here's the sad part. You know, people kept telling us, don't go into Pontiac and be a poll challenger, it's too dangerous. And we said, no, we have to go. Somebody has to watch the polling places down there. And so we went into these polling places, and we essentially risked our lives. And then when we asked the Republican Party to follow up, they ignored us. So, you know, it kind of made us question whether or not, you know, it was worth it to go through that. We had people that were lining up. When we were waiting for the votes to be counted, there were people that were lining up along the walls, threatening us, attempting to threaten us into leaving so that we weren't watching the votes being counted. When the polling place shut down, we stayed after to watch them count the vote to make sure that there was nothing, you know, there was no wrongdoing, and we were watching the votes being counted, and we were in a polling place where there were like 954 votes for Barack Obama and 2 votes for Mitt Romney. So yeah, I mean, and the polling place where we were stationed, there were 3 different polling places within one building, and in each and every polling place, the numbers were very much the same. In the high 900s for Barack Obama and like below 10 for Mitt Romney. Yeah.
Now that you know that and you saw that, do you think it's virtually impossible for anybody to win an election from the GOP?
I don't think it's virtually impossible, but I think that if the GOP is serious about winning elections and they want to stop voter fraud, they need to take action. They have to stop worrying about what the repercussions will be of them pursuing a lawsuit against these basically criminals that are running these polling places. I mean, these were like organized criminals. They knew what they were doing. They were a well-oiled machine. I mean, they knew exactly what they were doing. There were people coming in big groups, and they already had their forms filled out. that you need to fill out when you come in to identify yourself. And they were not following the proper procedures, and they knew it and we knew it, but we couldn't stop it. Yeah. In fact, when we walked into the polling place, we introduced ourselves. I said who I was, and I said that I was a poll challenger. And the first thing that the woman said to me, the supervisor at the polling place said to me, is, "I'll be watching you, watching me." So that was my greeting at that point.
All right, welcome back. We're going to give you an update on a couple of things. First of all, just to repeat, Donald Trump has been declared the winner in Ohio with what looks like a blowout victory, 53.5% to Clinton's 42%. A big, huge victory. Now, it's important to note that no Republican has ever won the presidency without Ohio. Okay? Now, not only that, Florida remains too close to call, but while we were away, we have called Colorado for Hillary Clinton. Also, we have called Idaho for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump still right now has a lead in the Electoral College. Fox has it at 168 to 131 in Trump's favor. I have it a little bit differently. I have it more towards Trump's favor, even more than that, because I've called Idaho based on other things I'm looking at here on the screen. Unfortunately, Minnesota has gone to the shade of blue. It was red for a while. However, we still have Wisconsin that is shaded red. Michigan remains shaded red. North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Trump still does lead in Florida, but it's by a very, very small margin. And so we're going to be sitting here waiting to see whether or not he can take at least the 4 states of Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. Pennsylvania's remaining blue. On the line with me right now is a gentleman named Joe, and Joe comes from Utah. Now, Utah was very interesting over the last couple of weeks because of this independent guy, McMullen, who is making a lot of noise. And many people thought that the state of Utah was going to go to an independent. And yet it is pretty much shaded as being red in most polls. Yes, it just went up to being shaded red on my Wall Street Journal counter. Joe, I appreciate you being with us. Let me ask you a question. What did you think about this whole thing that Trump wouldn't win Utah because he did not place well with Mormons? And are you a Mormon?
Yes. From New York, but have lived out here most recently for 2 years, but used to live here all through the 80s. Actually worked for the LDS Church at one time, but definitely 100% behind Trump, and definitely understand that there's a very strong sentiment against Trump out here that has been interesting. I called it the Sunday school vote, and I really attributed that to Glenn Beck and Mitt Romney, who came out and kind of embarrassed a lot of Mormons into thinking that they couldn't in good conscience vote for Trump. But there's an awful lot of Trump support here. It's not, it's cautious and sometimes not even public. But
well, why?
That's just the way it is.
Why is that, Joe? Is that because of his position on immigration? Is that because of the allegations with women? Is it because of the Billy Bush video and where he said some things that he probably wishes he didn't say? Which one is it? What's the big driver in Utah as to why the support for Trump isn't as big as we would like it to be?
Right. Well, I mean, I guess I'm going more on gut instinct, but I thought that the biggest hit was the sexual content messages that came out against Trump, starting with Melania, and Romney and Cruz and Glenn Beck hit that really hard and embarrassed Mormons pretty deeply, and drove a lot of people, I think, undercover if they had any sensitivity towards Trump. And then from there, it was just it's been hard to talk openly or freely about Trump because so many people are easily offended. There's what I call the Sunday school vote, and that tended to be reacting against Trump. And then there's what I call the constitutional vote, which
it tends to be for Trump because they just, say locker room talk isn't enough justification to throw away the Supreme Court.
Now, let me ask.
There's a lot of people out here that approach. Yeah, go ahead.
When you look at your support for Trump and your friends and colleagues that you speak to and stuff, what is it about Trump? A two-point question, if you could, and give me the quickest answer you possibly can, because I'm up against a break. But when you look at Trump, what is it about him that got you to the point of saying, I'm going to support this guy? And what is it about him that you want to see him fix in the state of Utah?
Well, the last question, I'm not 100% sure. But the first part, I would say, what really got me was I thought he was just so right on the issues. On immigration, he led the pack. He was absolutely right on TPP. That's what turned me against Cruz. That's what turned me against Bush, that they were just so wrong on foreign trade. And I think that's been the big thing. As far as what he could do differently out here, I would love to see him change some attitudes about what's in Utah's best interest. If there was such a large vote that was against Trump, I would characterize that as naive because there's just too much at stake on the things that he's right on, the issues, for people to not see past the locker room talk and really get to the issues. In religious terms, people, the Sunday school people ought to know that King David killed the husband of the woman he committed adultery with, if you want to get religious, and he still stayed king. Bad morals isn't always bad leadership. Bad morals in the bedroom isn't always bad leadership in office.
So what do you
examples of that too?
When you look at tonight and you see right now that he is very competitive in the states that he needs to be competitive in: Ohio, Michigan, North Carolina, Florida, and again Utah. When you see these things, how do you feel? Have you felt confident going into today, or were you nervous about that something was going to happen and strip him of this? And how do you see yourself? How do you feel right now?
Well, I was watching your Facebook posts earlier today to bolster my confidence because you hang your hat on Breitbart. I do hang my hat on Breitbart News and Drudge and guys like you. And yet there's such an avalanche of opposition from the mainstream media. You never can be 100% sure. And so that's been a big factor for me.
Okay. I appreciate
your question.
No, I appreciate that in the big way. I think, it's funny. There's always themes. I notice themes, whether it's in comments or emails or conversations like this. And it's the same things over and over. It's like, we don't trust the mainstream media. We trust guys like you. We trust guys like Breitbart. We trust, guys who are going to just be authentic. And I think that one of the things that will come out of this election, in order to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs, right? So you got to break some shells. And I think we've broken a lot of shells in the media. And I foresee CNN really taking a humongous hit. And hopefully guys like myself and guys like, Breitbart, as we drive ourselves more towards this whole thing here with television and media, and we're not on here trying to sell books at the end, I think you're going to see a shift in the media, and we will be that new media. Well, Joe, I want to say thank you for giving me your time. I got to jump to the next. I have a bunch of people I said I would call, and I still haven't called them. I'm running behind. I thank so much, man. God bless, and go Trump.
My pleasure.
All right, bud.
Best wishes.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right, so we're going to turn around. We're going to call somebody else off the fly. I think that's fun, right, Ryan? All right, so we're going to call Al in Florida. What do we have? Just called North Carolina, baby. We're not calling anybody. North Carolina just called, goes to Donald Trump. 50% to Trump, 46% to Hillary Clinton. And I'm getting the texts now that are coming in. That is a huge one. North Carolina to Donald Trump We are getting really, really close. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Wow. And you know what? He beat her by a spread of 4. Do you know how many people who thought they knew everything said there was no way he was going to win North Carolina? Of course he was going to win North Carolina. And you know what? I talked before about Diamond and Silk. That's where they're from. They're from North Carolina. You know what? I got to make a phone call now. We're going to call to Al in Florida. Al, if you're watching, get ready to answer your phone, brother. And you're going to make us all feel good about the fact that we're going to take Florida, because I truly believe if we get Florida, this is lights out. Let's see.
We're sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Okay, Dennis, you got to hit all the numbers. Sorry.
Hello?
Is this Al?
Yes, you have any echo?
No, it's pretty good, Al.
Okay.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing really good. You just heard about North Carolina.
I did hear about North Carolina, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here to tell the people who are watching us both on YouTube and on Facebook, tell us why it is that we're going to win the state of Florida.
Well, we personally went on a vacation this summer and drove through the great state of Florida where I lived, and all the way up to the Northeast from there. While we were driving through the great state of Florida, we did not see one bumper sticker, we did not see one sign, we did not see anything, but we saw huge signs on farms, we saw huge signs on cars, on flags, and also, a lot of people need to know this, but we do have a different time zone, and that's the Bible Belt of America that's up there in Florida. And people are voting for those small little children that she believes in that do not matter, and that's the abortion.
Okay.
And that's why we're going to win.
Okay, so the pro-life is big. So let me yeah.
And working. I don't know if because there's a fake bubble down here in Florida. There's no jobs, and people are hurting down here for work. I'm lucky with what I do for a living. So
That's what I wanted to ask you. So when you look at Florida, because I was saying about this earlier in our programming here, that I have been to Florida numerous times, always interviewing people, and the one common theme I hear time and again is the fact that people can't get jobs if they don't speak Spanish. And so can you confirm that? I mean, is that something that you've witnessed as well, or does the lack of jobs even go beyond the fact of people not being able to speak Spanish?
I personally haven't experienced that myself, but I do know when you go down there, and I have a lot of Spanish-speaking friends that are approached from, just to let you know that, and they're in, and especially the Cuban Americans. I come from an Italian American family that they came over here and they loved our country more so than others. I have so anyway, with the Spanish speaking, I haven't experienced that, but there's more to that. There's no industry down here. The corruption down here is huge. The only person that's really creating jobs down here is Trump. He's putting the people who work with his golf courses and things of that nature. I mean, she can't even run a candy store, that lady, in my eyes.
All right, well then let me ask you a question then.
Right.
So you and I are basically saying the same exact thing. Why is it that he's not blowing her out of the water in the state of Florida? Why is this thing such a squeaker so long after the polls have closed in that state?
Corruption. Straight up corruption at the voting polls. They have done. I have witnessed it, and because of what I do, I really can't get into what I witnessed at the voting polls.
Okay.
but and I didn't get any video of it. I didn't have it, but I did see literally young men there with their blue shirts on for her, and then change shirts and put a Republican shirt on and hand out pamphlets specifically with Democratic information. And they go out of their way, and they you know, I mean, although he's talking about the Latins down in southern Florida and stuff like that are possibly here illegally and stuff, and are scared to get deported. They're going out and they're saying it's okay to drive around illegally. It's okay to go and vote illegally. That's why they're scared, because of all their bad hard work, meaning her side is going to lose, and they really go out of their way to push people in her direction, and even go up to the part of corruption. Because I watched it. I watched the person he's handing out pamphlets, right?
Right.
With the white shirt on.
Yeah, no, you said let me ask you a final question before I jump off here, because I gotta try. I'm trying to get as many people as I can. I'm getting the emails that said you said you were going to call me, and I got so many calls to make. I want your voice to be heard. Your gut feeling. Does the state of Florida show up for Donald Trump tonight?
I believe that because the voting is so tight and they can't call it, is because in God's name, the people in our northern state is going to come through for us in the Bible Belt. Because I heard them talk, Democrats, and they say, "Oh, I hope it pours and rains up there." But glory to God, and we're going to shine bright for them.
All right, brother. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me tonight. Hopefully we'll talk to you again. Thanks so much, man.
You too. Bye.
All right. Well, you heard from him, and I'm looking at some of these different numbers. I mean, the stuff now is coming in so fast, it's hard for me to sort of keep up. But I keep on relying on my Wall Street Journal projections, because most of the stuff I'm watching here has translated into what has actually happened, meaning what state got called. The part that I'm a little uncomfortable with is that Iowa was red for most of the evening, shade of red. It has now gone to shade of blue. But at the same breath, Nevada is shade of red. So it's starting to make this a little bit uncomfortable here in terms of, I want Iowa. We want Iowa. We get Iowa, we get Florida, North Carolina, and we take that Michigan, which is remaining red right now, and we are looking in really, really good place. So New York Times says we have a 94% chance to win it all. The New York Times, the liberal New York Times, I'm getting this from Mission Control, New York Times says we have a 94% chance to win it all. I told you. How long have I told you? How long have I told you? You can't believe these people. You couldn't believe them. They were lying to you the whole time, and now they're all going to turn around and see that this man is going to win the presidency. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. We're going to call Susan. Susan Swanson. You are up next, Susan. Hope I did this right. I don't think I did. I don't think I ever hung up on the other guy. Getting a little tired, you know what I mean? Been doing it for 3 hours. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody. You're probably dropping off. I can't say I'd blame you. 20563. All right. Answer for me, Susan. Please answer for me.
Hello?
Ooh, I like Susan. Hey, Susan, how you doing? This is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Good.
This is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Dennis?
You're from New York originally?
I am.
You're from New York. What part?
Originally from Long Island.
Ah, girl after my own heart. What part? What part of Long Island? What part of Long Island?
Massapequa. and Selden, and I grew up for some of my youth in Middle Village, Queens.
All right, so you've been in a couple of different places here, and you moved down to Florida. Where are you in Florida now?
I'm in a town called Cape Coral. It's right near Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. Okay, so a couple of questions for you. I mean, other than watching yours truly, you watching any of the television?
I watch Fox
all
the time, believe it or not.
No, that's...
I really do.
Listen,
I have never been a big political person. I've always been, middle of the road kind of person. And this year I just got very involved to the point where I changed to a Republican Party.
Used to be a Democrat.
So volunteered my time to the Republican National Committee here in Cape Coral and Fort Myers. And I just got so sick of hearing and reading all about the WikiLeaks and seeing everything that I was seeing. It was heartbreaking to know that my children are being raised in this environment. Awful.
When you say that you volunteered your time and that you switched over, you used to be a Democrat?
No, I was nonpartisan.
Okay, did you vote?
No affiliation.
Did you vote for Obama?
I did.
Once or twice?
Once.
The second time you go for Romney, or you just didn't vote?
Yeah, no, I went for Romney.
Okay, so have you been a Trump supporter since the beginning, or did you transfer over from somebody else?
No, since the beginning, since the very beginning.
Why?
My parents, well, I'll tell you why. Being a New Yorker, I've always known about Donald Trump and the things that he's done in not only New York City, but the things that he has done in Atlantic City. I've seen this man take nothing and turn it into just unbelievable billions of dollars, jobs, whatnot. And when he was younger, he filed bankruptcy. And if you were growing up in New York, you kind of knew all about it and what was going on with him. And, you just kind of said, wow, he pulled himself out of that bankruptcy and look what he did. Just amazing. And I've always really admired him. Mm-hmm. So, this admiration for Donald Trump is long time. He's a very smart businessman. He knew how to take the laws and use them for his advantage, and they were there for him to use.
So when you look at him as far as president, and you said you had kids, and you've been from New York, you know his whole shtick. I mean, what is it that you're looking for him to do for you as? I'm going to go with, what do you want him to do for you as a mother? I mean, what are you most concerned about for your kids?
The globalist way that the Clinton administration would have taken the country made me sick. It literally made me sick.
You said that
Hillary Clinton did not want anything for our country. She wanted to better herself, and it...
Whoa, I got to turn you off. Florida has just been called. Florida's called. Donald Trump has Florida. Isn't that great? We're talking to somebody from Florida at the same time he wins Florida. Oh, boy. Yeah, I think this could be lights out. Ohio and Florida. That is a home run. Hillary must be sick to her stomach, man. Oh, this is great.
Am I allowed to say bad words on your show?
No, you know what? What does it start with? F, no. Don't say it. Keep it clean. The Facebook police are probably watching. But let me just say this. In fact, you know what? I was going to ask you a question. It's irrelevant at this point. Just called Hillary Clinton has gotten California. So she's got California. She also has the state of Washington. They're calling that. They're giving her the state of Hawaii. These are no surprises. But you are going to see now her count go up. Idaho goes to Trump 81% to 10%. I already had that. Oregon Is they calling that? No, I'm not sure if they're calling that. Yes, they're giving that to Hillary. But that's no shocker whatsoever. So when we look at this, right now we have Trump at 216, Clinton at 202. But understand that with Florida and Ohio in the bag, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin still showing shades of red. Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Idaho has been called. And the New York Times, the despicable New York Liberal Times, says that 94% chance that Donald Trump will be the president of the United States at the end of tonight. And we are going to make America great again. All right, so last question for you.
God, amen.
Yeah. Last question for you, Susan. Let's say Donald Trump wins the presidency tonight. Do you see him being able to heal the divide in this nation? Give me your answer in less than a minute.
Yes, I think he can. I absolutely think he can. He will make us all feel safe. He'll take care of things that we need him to take care of. Absolutely. And that'll bring us together. I'm sure of it.
I appreciate your time, Susan. I appreciate your volunteering for the Trump campaign. I appreciate your honesty. May God bless, and thanks a lot for calling in.
God bless you too, and we'll see you on your walk.
You certainly will. All right, thanks so much. Okay, so I'm like a kid in a candy store. My son back here. First of all, I wish I could show you, but I don't want my son on camera. But he's got his Trump socks on. Fantastic. They're Trump socks. They're tube socks with Trump's face on them. It's fantastic. You know, the people of Florida, there is no question in my mind. You know, if you've been with me for a while, if you've been with me on the walk and talks, if you've been with me since the days of Newsmax, if you've been with me just on Facebook and going to my website and seeing the articles that my fantastic staff of writers, the things we work so hard. I got a great group of people who are working for me. Love them all. And, you know, when you do what we do, and I'm talking about DennisMichaelLynch.com, you do it, yeah, because you got to make money. You got to be able to feed yourself. But there's other ways we could make money. But we're so passionate about what it is that we're doing and getting the real truth out. I'm so excited that he won Florida for so many different reasons. I have met so many great people in Florida who I told you can't get jobs. People across the country can't get jobs. I've been to Ohio, given speeches. You meet with these people from Cincinnati and Cleveland and Batavia and all these different places, and they just want the country to be great again. And when I say that, it's of all ages. Look at who we've talked to tonight. We talked to a girl who's 24 years old, got 5 kids at home, and she needs Donald Trump to win because her husband is scratching his fingers to the bone trying to stay ahead, and he can't stay ahead. He's struggling. And this is why people are coming. I knew it. I told you time and again. I read all your comments. Oh, Dennis, I make me feel better. Make me feel better. Tell me that we're going to win this. Tell me we're going to win this. I told you every time we walked and talked. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm talking about. What did I tell you? I've been in these back rooms. I see how these people operate, the media. I watch it. They try to control the narrative. They try to elect the president. That's what they do. They want it because they want to drive all the different aspects. The cheap labor, the liberal, the whole liberalism that just, I could rant on forever and ever. But this is not what the American people want. They don't want what the media is feeding. They want truth. And that's why I've been telling you. I've been telling you on these walks, he's going to win this. He's going to win it. He's going to get this electoral college. I told you it was going to be 284, that it possibly could even go to 300. And you know what? I'm looking at this map, and I'm not sold on the fact that Pennsylvania is going to go for blue. Although I may be getting ahead of myself, I think it's going to go back to red. But we're looking at Nevada at red, and Utah at red, and Arizona at red. And I still believe that Iowa is going to come over. I really do. Nobody wants Hillary Clinton to be president. Who wants Hillary Clinton to be president? She's a champion of corruption. Oh, you know, the great things that come of this, if this man pulls this out tonight, the great things that come, let me just give you the great things that come. I want to paint this picture for you. I want you excited. I wish I can see you like you can see me. And I guess what it has to be is I have to live through my handsome son's face right now because he's excited and I can see him. He's a young boy. And you want to know why? Because he sees it in his own town. He sees it with his mom and dad. He sees it with his friends. Let me tell you what happens if this man wins. And I'm talking about the divide in this country. One of my favorite things to do is to talk to elderly people. I love it. I love interviewing elderly people. People who are, let's say, 75 and older. And I'll start getting the emails now from the 76-year-olds who say, don't you call me elderly. I mean the people who have the most experience. And one of the questions I always ask, what was the best time in America? And I always get people who tell me the 40s and the 50s. And then I always ask, who was the best president ever in America? And I always get Ronald Reagan. And the funny thing is that when you look at Ronald Reagan, he gave amnesty. And most of the people who are voting for Donald Trump want anything but amnesty. So what was it? What was it? I'll tell you what it was. When I was down in, Washington, D.C. during the sequester, when they shut the government down, and they kept the veterans out of the memorials, there was and if you saw We Ride to D.C., which I'm going to play that clip in a couple of seconds, when the veterans, World War II veterans, the greatest generation, was shut out of seeing the memorials that their fellow Americans died for, that these men stormed the beaches of Normandy. How dare anyone, Obama, anyone, keep these men from that? Those men are America. There is no America without those men. And so there was an older guy there, obviously a World War II vet. I think he was in the Navy. And he was there with his wife, and they wouldn't let him in. And I said to him, and we got it all in the movie, I said, I don't care if I have to carry you on my back. You're getting in. And we broke down the barricades, and I brought him in, or what have you. And I asked him to the side, what was the greatest time in America? He said basically the 40s and 50s. I asked him who was the greatest president. He said Reagan. And I said, why do you say that? And the wife answered. She said, when Carter was president, the country just felt so down. Even Democrats who pretended like they liked him knew that he wasn't doing a good job, sort of like we have now with Obama. And how do you know that that's what they mean? Listen to the way Clinton talks. She says in one breath that Obama doesn't get the credit he deserves, and yet on the other hand, she tells you how she's going to have to improve all these things. Well, you wouldn't have to improve things if they weren't broken. So obviously she's talking out of both sides of her mouth, and we just called Utah, which is no surprise, and I'm sure my buddy Joe from Utah is happy. So we go back. And she said that back in those days, because the gas prices were so high and we had these long gas lines, that people started carpooling together. So she worked in Washington, D.C., so they used to carpool back and forth from Virginia. And she said it started to get so bad, especially during the political season, that they wouldn't talk in the carpool. Half were Democrats, half were Republicans. She said the minute that Ronald Reagan won the presidency, that all the people in that car who were Democrats, who absolutely hated Ronald Reagan, they actually wound up having smiles on their face. All the people that had hatred for him and that were voting against him embraced him. Embraced the idea, if nothing else, that the ugliness was over. So one of the things, I mean, honestly, Reagan was a great communicator and he was just a great human being in general. But what he also benefited from was this wave of ugliness, this period in time in America that was horrible for everybody. And so when people can shake themselves of the ugliness, they appreciate the person who now is going to make things better again. I guarantee you, the people who say they hate Trump, who say that he's a misogynist and say that he's a racist and say that he's a hater and say that all these different other things, I guarantee you they come to appreciate this man. They may never love him, but they'll come to appreciate him. Because if he does commit to doing the jobs, and he does commit to the wall, and he does commit to the deportations, and he does commit to making sure that taxes get lowered and trade deals are better for Americans, and keeping terrorists out, and making the world respect America again, that's what people really want at the end of the day. They may not love Trump, but by golly, how do you not have gray hair? I do not color my hair. I don't have any gray hairs. I'm just lucky. But it comes down to this very thing. Donald Trump will bring this country together again. I have no question in it. You can't make America great again without destroying the divide. You have to bring people together. And that's the way it was when Reagan came in. Most of you probably all remember it. Hostages came home and America had a heartbeat. We wound up winning the Olympics. Remember, we beat the Russians. You know, there's going to be events here for Donald Trump. If he continues on this trajectory here and he wins tonight, he's going to have events that he's going to be able to celebrate with us as Americans. We're going to love this man. He's going to do a fantastic job, and America's going to get back on track. I promise you that. I promise you that. With that being said, my voice needs a rest. I want to play a clip for you. I want to play a clip from you from a film I did called We Ride to DC. It highlights some of the veterans I'm talking about. It's got a little downside to it, but it's the same thing. It's beautiful. You see these men, it's beautiful. Guys back in Alabama, Jake, if you can play clip 700, I appreciate it. How much time does that give me? Time 700, clip 700 is 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Just long enough for me to go to the little boys' room for the first time. They don't say that on Fox. All right, play that clip, will you please?
This isn't their memorial. They have no right to tell us what we can do here.
America is coming back. Yes, yes.
This is a protest about nothing. It amazes me that they've settled on this thing about the monuments. Like, this is one of the genuinely unimportant functions of the federal government.
And as disabled veterans, he had a traumatic brain injury, missing his foot, a devil dog right there, fought in the Iraq War, and I'm proud of him. And we're out here for these guys, and especially these guys right here. This is who we're here for. They should be resting in peace right now, not rolling around.
All you have to do is look around, and you see that this country is slowly sinking. And until someone or something comes along to ignite that spark again, and the news media fans that flame and helps it to grow, we are going to continue to slowly dissolve.
And here's the biggest thing we have a blemish, because the government shutdown is going to go away sooner or later, Megan. But the blemish that is on that memorial will stay with us forever.
The road is clear. They could have driven all the way up right to the World War II Memorial. They made them stop here, and they're going to have to wheel them down. That is not how we treat our World War II vets.
How many hours have they been on that bus?
They've been on the bus since 9:30 a.m. It's now 11 o'clock.
And these men are so old. They didn't realize that there was anything going wrong. They thought this was the norm. And it breaks your heart.
And where are you from?
I'm from, excuse me. From Washington.
And where'd you serve?
The help me son.
Iwo Jima, Okinawa.
Until this country comes back together, we don't have a chance. And the only way that this country is coming back together is through the American people. The politicians aren't going to do it. And I will not accept this weekend or the last week with the truckers as a failure. This was a spark. There is a movement taking place, a non-violent American movement taking place. And I can tell you, Megan, I'm for America.
All right. So I'm calling somebody new. Hold on.
Hello?
Blake?
Yes.
Yeah, hold on 1 second, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're live. We're back here. Just want to bring you up to speed on a few things. Nevada, only 1% is in so far, so they haven't called it yet. New Hampshire, 61% is in. Trump has a 2-point lead with 61% in New Hampshire. I told you New Hampshire was going to be a very important state. So far, he has the lead. It looks like it's heading in that very good direction. Trump right now, depending on who it is you're watching or whatever, I'm going to go with Fox. It's sort of matching what I've got on the Wall Street Journal, and it's with my map as well. You've got 222 electoral votes for Trump, 202 for Clinton. When you look what's left on the map, I don't have the calculator here, but I mean, if I just went off the top of my head, you've got 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania. If she were to take that, that would pop her up to 242. She's already got her other big states. She's not going to get Alaska. She might get Minnesota. She needs Michigan. She doesn't get those. I mean, just off the top of my head, 20 and 36 would be if she got Michigan and PA. I mean, you know, honestly, you can just put a stake in her. I think she's done. I think she's done. Blake, you are from California, and I know who you are. You've been with me for a while. I think you actually were one of my volunteers when I was exploring a run for president. Is that right?
Yeah, helped in California for a while.
Okay. So when you were no longer part of my exploratory committee and part of my volunteers, did you go to Trump right away, or did you sort of dance around a little?
Well, for a number of reasons, I did not want Cruz for his writing of the immigration policies for Bush and his connections with the North American Union and Goldman Sachs and the amendment to the...
But just, I don't want to hear about who you weren't for. I just want to, who were you for? Any specific person?
I was going to settle on Ben Carson until Trump came out with his immigration policy, and then I was fully on board.
Okay, so now you're in California. How bad, and I'm assuming that's probably why and how you first found out about me, how would you describe your immigration situation there in California?
It's tough. There's a lot of changes. I mean, the census has changed, and Hispanics are the largest population now, and I tried to start a booster club for my child, and the process took too long, and I had to pay extra fees to file for my business license because they were so backed up, because they set up special committees to get businesses for immigrants and things, and so it's taking a lot of state and city budgets. I lived in San Jose, and the amount of homeless people you saw was a lot like what you reported on in San Francisco. They were everywhere. I mean, I saw a family living on the side of the street in tents. You know, we drove by, and my kids saw them urinating out the side, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
People just living that way in the middle of winter.
Yep.
And it's tough. It's tough.
You know, it's funny you say that. What Blake is referring to is that I went out to San Francisco about 8 months ago, and actually went out there to interview Ammon Bundy and his brother, who were both in a jail cell at the time in Oregon, still in a jail cell, but now they've moved to Nevada. But that said, we stayed in San Francisco, part of our trip, and I had taken my daughter with me. She is a photographer. And we were driving around the city of San Francisco. I couldn't believe the tent cities that were, I mean, you literally walk out of your hotel, look to the left, and there are tents filled right on the sidewalk. It's almost as if you'd think they were filming a movie. This is how disgusting and bad it's become. A, because it's under Democrat control. B, you've got a sanctuary city where these people can just turn around and live there and nobody's going to even say a thing about them. You can't get jobs. You can't have anything else. I mean, California is probably the most beautiful state that I've ever seen in terms of driving through and seeing all the beauty, but it is the ugliest state in terms of how it is operated and what it has done to the American people who live there. Would you agree with me, Blake?
Yes, I would. In San Francisco, even buses some of their homeless out and drops them in San Jose. The problem in San Jose is now so bad that they're thinking of doing different things like buying them plane tickets and sending them to places like Portland, which is also a huge homeless area. So it's, I mean, I saw them on the freeway, underneath the freeway daily. Almost every interchange, there was, 10 cities underneath freeways. It's really bad. And it's sad for them and sad for the country.
When you finally said, hey, Donald Trump will be my guy because of the immigration position, as you've gone through this entire election, what has disappointed you the most about the election? And I don't mean Trump himself. I mean the surrounding factors.
The complacency of accepting the establishment. I mean, we have primaries for a reason. That's where we select our candidates. And yet we vote the same people in, 30, 40 years in Congress. So we have ourselves to blame because we aren't voting out the people that are causing the problem, at least on a national level, and even the local level, especially like in San Jose, California. So people just want to vote and be done. And that's not how it works. You got to get out. You got to go to your county meetings, your central committees. You got to go to whatever party you affiliate with and go to their meetings and be the voice for change. Get the candidates into the primaries that you want so that we can, drain the swamp, as Trump says.
Let's say, for instance, that the presidency is won tonight. I'm reading as I'm talking to you. I apologize. Let's say, for instance, that the presidency is won tonight by Donald Trump. What do you want to see him do first? As somebody who has supported him, what do you want to see him tackle first?
Immigration.
Immigration.
Yeah, first.
And what do you actually want to see him do?
Like he says, I want him to make sure the criminals go first, and then enforce the border. Enforce the current laws that we already have. Minimum, that's guaranteed first.
So, you said you're in San Jose. I mean, that's not far off from Silicon Valley. Am I right?
Yeah, they claim themselves as the first city of Silicon Valley. So yeah, I've actually moved to Utah now. I escaped.
Oh, you moved to Utah now. Okay. So all right. But now Utah has been called. So Blake, let me ask you, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm a data analyst / engineer.
You're a data analyst. All right. So are you suffering from the large impact of foreign workers that are coming in on visa?
A little. I've applied for the big companies like Facebook and Google and stuff while I was in San Jose for 5 years, and I never got an interview. And I consider myself a highly skilled worker, and I think based off that I'm also kind of suffering from a lower wage based off entering lower in the salary. So it's hard. I just found out on Friday that my job was safe. I was on a layoff notice, so it's been a rough 2 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you. You said you're in Utah there. I mean, you know what? Just real quick before we get off. I mean, so if you're in Utah, I mean, Utah was sort of struggling for a while there with Trump, but I mean, ultimately they came through. What is it that was bothering the people of Utah with regard to Trump?
Number one, it's they don't see him as a moral person.
Okay.
Based off past behavior and his actions during the primaries. And so it was a hard thing for them to get over. And so they've been trying to float around who they'd vote for. So that's why you're seeing the, almost near 20% going to McMullen. So, but in the end, it was those who are quiet but voting anyway that are going to change it. So.
All right. Well, Blake, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to jump off now. I got to get some other phone people in here on the phone calls, and I got to get some updates, okay? Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time, bud. All right, bud. All right, so I'm looking at here right now. We have Iowa. Trump is back. We don't have it all in yet, but Trump is back in the lead there in Iowa. And yes, I see it here on the Wall Street Journal. They have now switched it back to red. I told you that Iowa was a very important state for us to grab. And it looks as if, because the numbers that he is now winning by are pretty considerable, that he will, odds are, take Iowa as well. I'm hoping to get some more numbers here about Michigan. If you guys have anything there in Alabama, send me some numbers. I'm trying to look through your numbers here, and I'm not seeing enough. I want to see why it is that Michigan is still and Wisconsin are still in the red. Georgia yet. It's funny, Georgia is shaded red, but not completely red. And that's sort of crazy if you think about it, because Georgia has always been a very red state. And again, I think it is the influx of immigration that has gone into that specific state. And that's why it is that, I've said this a million times. What do we have here? Michigan, 58% in, Trump up 48 to 47. Well, 48.5 to 47. So when you've got a spread of 1.5 and you're over 50%, it's very hard for the other person to come up and get past that. She would need one specific huge county, and because I don't have the counties in front of me, she would need like a blowout in a county to actually push past. It probably won't do that. Wisconsin, 69% in, Trump 49, Clinton 45. He's going to run the map. He is going to run the map. This is fantastic. Do you know how many people should lose their jobs? Dennis Michael Lynch, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, who else? Judge Janine. I mean, you can count. Brian Kilmeade. You can count the people who stuck with this guy and knew he was going to win on one hand, maybe two. Guys like Mark Levin and guys like, you know what? Glenn Beck needs to literally pack up. Maybe he could get a job doing something else. I just read something yesterday about Glenn Beck, about how it is that he said now he's supporting Black Lives Matter. I think what you're seeing with Glenn Beck is he's realizing the fact that he's completely alienated all of his conservative following, and he's trying to figure out how he can still be loved. And he'll only be loved if he goes back to the left, because other than that, he doesn't have a home. I mean, this guy just made a complete clown of himself. I just read the other day, he said it didn't look good for Trump. He's not going to win. These people don't know what they're talking about. Do you want to know why they don't know what they're talking about? They're not in touch with the American people. They're just not. They're not. A guy like Hannity, you look at a guy like Hannity, he'll sit there on Twitter and he'll tweet back and forth. And he's interactive. I mean, I'll send Sean an email and he'll respond back to me. He's always brief and short, but back and forth. If I send some of these other people an email, you don't get anything back, because they got they're snooty. I send Governor Huckabee, send him an email right now. I can send it to him and he'd respond to me within 5 minutes saying it's fantastic. Governor Huckabee's another guy, supported it the whole way. Very few people, and the reason why is because we're in touch with the American people. We actually listen to them, interact with them like I am here taking these phone calls and listening to what's important to you. These other people don't listen. If you watch their shows, they dictate. They tell. They know it all. They know it all. They know how it's going to work. They don't know anything. They don't know anything. They're like the weather. I said this. They're like the weatherman. Wisconsin just called Donald Trump 49% to Hillary Clinton 45%. She was going to have fireworks tonight at the Jacobs Javits Center in New York. I wonder if she's going to cancel it. This is fantastic. I'm getting text all over the place here. 49%. Yeah, he won. You bet your ass he won. 49 to 45%. Oh, man, I tell you what. This is great. This is great. I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more happy. You know what I'm happy for? I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the American people. I am so happy for you. I sit here. I sit here and I read. I really do. I read. If you can't tell, I'm tired. I've gained a lot of weight ever since I left Newsmax, which isn't healthy, even though I'm out doing my walking. It's that I'm sitting here working around the clock. And just, you sit there, you start putting stuff in your mouth, and before you know it, you're five meals into the day. And now tomorrow I'm back to my diet, and I'll switch it like that. But I've worked so hard, and I actually lost my job at Newsmax. I lost my show because I would not compromise what it is that I would report and what it is that I wouldn't report. And because I was not going to pretend that my passion wasn't there. And I took that original show, I took that job, and I was the #1 show every single night. And I was like that because you know that when I talk to you, I really mean what I'm saying. I have always known that this man was going to win. In 2014, I wish we had that damn clip. Yes, we do have that clip. I want to play it again. We started off tonight with this clip. I want to play it again because, it's a little self-serving. Iowa just called. Donald Trump, 50%. Clinton, 44%. You know what? She's shellacked. He's not just beating her, he's crushing her. And I've been telling you that. Yes, I know, Iowa. We're crushing her. This is beautiful. This is music to my ears. I tell you what. You know what? If you have Fox News, I'd like you to turn it on if you're also watching it, because I can't feed you this. Yes, I'm getting texts from everybody. Yes. They're going crazy at Trump Tower headquarters. This is phenomenal. We're going to make America great again. Let me tell you. The Border Patrol agents who I have met, I'm going to go through some stories here. The Border Patrol agents that I have met along the border in Arizona and in Texas. Please at least give me shout out for telling you what was going on as soon as, okay. My buddy Eli wants credit. All right, Eli. And you know what, guys like Eli, I got, you know what, let me step back. I'm going to step back. I'll give you some great stories here that we're celebrating together. You know what, Ryan, do me a favor. Go inside and pop me open a Corona Light and bring me out a Corona Light. Bring me 2. This is the great part about not being on television, being on Facebook. I can do this. Bring me 2. All right. A guy like my buddy Eli, right? Lives in Florida. He's very religious, Jewish, great father. He's got a whole tribe going on. Beautiful wife, works hard, invested in me, never lost faith in me. And I've been through so many different bad economies, and our business has changed so many different times because I'm married. Eli will probably let my wife, yeah, baby, yes, baby, we're going. Everybody's happy. It's all about people. It's all about people. That's what this is about. It's not about policy, and it's about people. It's about connecting with people. That's what Trump does. He connects with people. He's a billionaire who understands what the guy feels like who's sweeping the floors in the warehouse. It's about people. You ask a guy like Eli, we've been together, right, doing business deals for what, 8-9 years, I think it is now. You know, and we're sitting here, we're always trying to make it. We both have our investment in there. We haven't gotten our return in terms of our profit out, but we work at it every single day. We keep trying. We figure different ways. And you know what? It's about people. It's about trust and that we're going to get there and we're going to make something great. And if we don't, we're going to die trying. And that's the kind of people that is the fabric of this country. And there's so many of them. And they just want opportunities and chances. They want somebody in DC who will give them those opportunities. And all they need is just a fair shot. Just be honest. Just do what you say you're going to do when you get in there. Trump's going to do it. He's gonna do the things he promised he's gonna do. I could promise you that. It's the first speech I ever made when I was on Newsmax. The first one, when completely viral. I said, listen, he's an egomaniac. He loves himself. But you know what? He wants to be on Mount Rushmore. And because he wants to be on Mount Rushmore, he's smart enough to know that the way that you get there is by fixing problems, not by going like this. And that's why now this guy, this is stage one. Stage two is he's going to change the world. He's going to change America back to being great again. And so everybody, here, give me one. My son's back. So I want to come back. I'm all over the place. Come on, just keep your face out of it though. All right. So anyway, guys like Eli, guys at the Border Patrol, when I would go down, when I started making films, I went down to the Border Patrol and you meet these guys there and they're not allowed. I'm having a celebration beer. They're not allowed to talk to the press or to the media. But when they know you're there and you're pro-Border Patrol, you're pro-border security, they'll talk to you. You know, no cameras on, they'll talk to you. These guys, Dennis, you don't understand what's coming through the border. I'm concerned for my country, the drugs that are coming through, the people that are coming through. They're not all Mexican. They're not all Latino. We got people coming through who are, Iranian and Middle East. And these people, what are they doing here? I mean, I've showed you signs in the desert in Texas written in Chinese. This is marketing 101. You only make signs to people who you know are going to read them. And who's reading them? Chinese people. What are Chinese doing coming through the border? There's no religious connection to being in Mexico. Where is it going? They're paying $50,000 a clip to get in here. You know how dangerous that is? You know how bad that is? And yet they just let it happen. So you talk to these Border Patrol agents and they sit there and they tell you it's so hard for them to go to work every day. It's hard for them to go to work every day because not only do they not enjoy their job anymore because they signed up to protect the border. They signed up to protect the American people. They didn't sign up to be a high-priced taxi driver from the border to the bus station. And that's what it is. And you talk to these guys and it's draining because not only do they hate going to work every day because they're not doing what they signed up for, but they know that every time they drop off another busload of people to somewhere USA, they're hurting their own families at home. I met them. I meet people in the medical practice. I meet doctors and nurses. Some of my best friend's mother is a nurse. She'll tell you, our emergency room, who's coming in here? People who can't speak a lick of English. We're giving all these services to these people who are coming in here. Pregnant women coming over the border. A hospital in Dallas, 11,000 births to illegal aliens in 1 year. With them putting hospitals into the ground. That's why your rates, that's half of the reason why your rates were always so high before Obamacare. You're paying for children to be born from illegal aliens. It's costing you $20,000, $25,000 per birth. Then you're basically fueling this kid and funding this kid going to school. I mean, I meet teachers. I talk to teachers. Georgia went red, baby. Yeah, Georgia's red. Listen, it's game over. It's over. 254, he just got Georgia. It's over. It is over. And my electoral map, you know what? My electoral map was perfect. Wisconsin is also red. You know what? These people don't need to see the board. I'll do the board in a little bit. I'm ranting right now. I'm all excited. Okay? I go back to the people, the nurses, the good people who see the fact that they know they're going to take care of anybody who walks in, but they see, they don't want to be doing what it is that they're doing in terms of they know that the people coming in don't deserve those services, the money it's costing. And then you got somebody come in, an American come in, and they can't get the services they need because they're trying to cut costs. My God. I've met the cops, the poor cops in this country, the war on cops. We have a president right now who puts more energy and passion into Black Lives Matter than he does into veterans. Yeah. And so you got cops getting assassinated in the streets. What has happened to this country? Trump is going to fix this. You talk to cops, they tell you quietly. Remember I told you earlier tonight, for those of you who've been with me for a while, when I was in Chicago and I asked that guy, that cop that was driving me around, I said, you see this changing? He says, no. I said, really, man? What about with good leadership? He says, nah. He's so down because everybody has been knocked down with this false sense of hope and change, and they're tired of being lied to. And now you got a guy who's going to come in and he's going to drain the swamp. He's going to come in there, and the people who need to go are going to go. This guy is not going to step off the pedal. He's not going to step off the pedal. We're cut from the same cloth. It's the same thing. If I were in there, everybody who deserves to go is gone. Gone. And you want to know why? Here's why, if for no other reason. Somebody comes into my office as the President of the United States and tries to sell me some BS that I know is not good. I'm kicking him out of my office. You think I'm going to sell out my children and my grandchildren to some lobbyist, to some dirtbag? No. Trump's the same way. You think he's going to sell out his kids and all he's built for the sake of doing special interest deals? No. This country was in desperate need of a businessman who is rich and isn't doing this for the money. Hey, Donald Trump was the perfect guy for this. I mean, he was the perfect guy. Why? He had the name recognition. He had the money. He had the, you know what's the guy thing. He had the ability to get the cameras on him. And you know what he didn't do? You want to know what he didn't do? I was in a documentary. Damn, I wish I would have given this clip. Oh! I did a documentary for a company in London. Big, huge News 4 over in London. In fact, they asked me if I would be on if Trump won. And I told them, yeah, you'd have to come out to where I am. I'm not coming to you. I don't know if I'll still be on. But Sabato. Oh, I love them. Oh, God, all these people. This guy Sabato with his crystal ball, right? They've been doing this on Fox for how long? With his crystal ball. Let me tell you, his crystal ball is cloudy, okay? He can't see nothing. He's got nothing. You want to know who's got the crystal ball? Yours truly. Sabato was also, right, Mr. Frickin' Know-It-All. Sabato, with his crystal ball, was in on the same documentary I was on. You could actually find it if you go on YouTube and just do, I don't know. You don't need to say it. Just trust me. Sabato was on before me, and he says, I'm telling you right now, Trump will move to the center because it's all about him. It's all about Trump. He's going to move to the center before the election. I went on next. I said, he ain't going anywhere. If he moves to the center and he tells me that he's not going to deport these people, he starts talking like a liberal. You know what? And he did. You remember that? He talked like that for like 2 days. And everybody said, what are you talking about? You coming off immigration? And he snapped right out of it. And he said, you know what? I need to be myself. I'm not listening to these other people who give me this BS. And he went right back. And I said in that documentary, if he does that, he will lose us. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. And that's why he's going to win, because he kept to his word. He kept to his plan. He said, screw you. Don't tell me to act this way or act that way. I'm going to act like Donald Trump. I'm not perfect, but I am going to make this country great again. And that's that. That's my rant. All right, guys, I want you to play the clip. This all started with me introducing a clip. I probably got 2 people watching at this point. I don't know. Who knows? I want you to play the clip that we played in the beginning 2 weeks before Donald Trump went down those escalators, I gave a speech to a Jewish, a group of Jewish men and women at a synagogue in Massachusetts. And it was right after I made the decision not to run, had some health problems, decided it wasn't my time, and I gave one last speech. I gave one last speech because I had made the speech before I dropped out, and I still felt as if I should keep to my commitment and go up and do it, all out of my own pocket. And that's the kind of guy I am, just like Trump is. And that's why I've always supported him. And I went up before I knew he was going to say he was going to run, and I said these following words, which we're about to play. Guys, play the first clip 500, and give my voice a rest. I'm going to end up by saying this. This isn't about the Republicans and Democrats. And unfortunately, I don't see one person who's thinking about or talking about running for office who addresses this the right way. Not one. They all run around the topic because they're all cowards. The first person who would actually stand up and tell Sean Hannity or stand up and tell whoever it is on NBC, yeah, I'm going to deport all the illegal aliens. And you're not allowed in my country anymore unless you come in the legal way, like we have had a program legally forever and ever and ever. I'm sending you home. Somebody says that. Somebody says I'm taking care of Americans first. And then when everybody's on a pathway to the American dream, but we love the pathway word, right? Pathway to citizenship. No, when everybody's on the pathway to the American dream, that's when I'll start worrying about everybody else. But right now, I've got Americans living in the streets. I've got Americans who are failing in school. I've got Americans who can't make more money than they did 7 years ago. Boy, why is that happening? I'll tell you why. Because we're flooding the country with more workers. The first person who stands up and does that and is actually given the time of day is the next president of the United States. That's the person who will get your life and your country back on track. And until that person emerges, it's just going to be more of the same. I don't care who wins. It could be Marco Rubio. It could be Jeb Bush. It could be Hillary Clinton. It could be Ted Cruz. Not one of them is going to solve this problem the way it needs to be solved. And so ask yourself when you go home, as if we haven't depressed you enough already. Ask yourself when you go home, if you don't have the capability and the guts to solve the number one problem in the country, how are you ever going to solve number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? You're not. You're not. All right, we are back. I am looking here right now based on Fox News. We have Trump at 254 electoral votes, Clinton at 209. We have yet out Michigan, which is looking red. We've got Minnesota and Pennsylvania, both in blue. In terms of light shades, these are uncommitted. Nevada is light blue. Let me say this. Michigan has 16 electoral votes. He's at 254. If he wins Michigan, and if you guys have it in Alabama, send me the numbers. If he wins Michigan, it's over. He's got the 270, and it's over. I can't see scenarios. I mean, guys, is there any scenario, because I don't have the math here, is there any scenario that he does not win this? What do we have here? 64% in. 64% in, Trump 48, Clinton 46.5. So it's 48.5 to 46.5 with 64% in. I already told you this. When it gets to that level, unless there is a blockbuster a couple of counties where it's just dominated with a huge population, which it wouldn't be at this point, she's done. I mean, he's got it. He has got it. So I'll tell you what, we got 10 more minutes till 12 o'clock. I won't have a voice for my walk and talk tomorrow. So I'm going to stick with you for 10 more minutes. I'm going to let the guys at Right Side focus completely. I think they're streaming from New York City at Trump Tower. I'd like to actually listen to what our next president has to say. So I'm going to stick with you for 10 more minutes. I apologize. Let me take the last 10 minutes and say a few things here to you, okay? There was a couple of times tonight I've been tooting my own horn about the Electoral College. I apologize for that. I apologize for coming off as a know-it-all. I don't like that. That's not the way I am. And it's not about me and how smart I am and how much I know this stuff. It's about you. And, I'll tell this story. My son is here. He'll love this story. I was a football coach a couple of years ago. And before I had taken the team with another coach who was fantastic, the team was 5-5. We got them. We made the team 8-2, 9-1. Handed them back over to another coach. They went back to 5-5. And if you look at it, it's the same kids. So what was it? What was it that lifted these kids up and then they went back down? And it was the ability to be able to connect. And that's what I was talking about in the last segment, was the ability to connect with people. Understanding what's inside somebody and empowering them to explode in a good way. Let that inner out. Empowering people. That's real leadership. And there was a boy on our team who was more fit to play the violin than he was to be on the football team. You know who I'm talking about. And we'll call him Ben. And Ben was terrible. And the boys on the team gave him a hard time. And I always used to say, don't you dare. That's one of your teammates. And you know what? Don't you dare. And so it went from Ben being the kid that none of the kids really talked to on the team and sort of made fun of, to them all championing for Ben. Everybody wanted to see Ben do well. And so there really wasn't a good position to put him in because he was too small to play defense. He was going to get hurt. He wasn't really all that fast or all that big, so he couldn't play on the line. He couldn't be a running back. There was only one place we could put him, so he wouldn't get hurt and just so he could be on the field, and that was as a wide receiver. And we didn't put him in all that much because he just wasn't that good, but we still gave him his playing time. And I always threw him the ball. Every time we scored a touchdown, I would throw him the ball for the extra point. And every time we did it, he dropped the ball. And sometimes the other coaches would say something to me, or I could hear the parents bickering in the back or whatever it may be. And I don't care. I stuck with this kid. And his father came to me and said after the season, I don't think he's going to come back next year. He has nightmares about dropping that ball. I said, you cannot let that boy quit. If that boy doesn't come back, he's always going to quit. Let me have one more year with him. He came back the next year. I worked with him more. He kept dropping the ball. May God take me now if I'm lying to you. I'd be lying in front of my son. He lived it. He was right there. We had our last game before I would never be coaching these kids again. We were down. And it was down to our last play or two, maybe, I don't know, a minute on the clock. And I knew this kid was going to go out without ever having caught a ball. And we got down to the 2-yard line. And I took him over and I said, Ben, go in. And I gave him the play, and the play was to him. And he said, Coach, I don't want to do it. I said, if you don't want to do it, you're going to remember that you gave up this opportunity for the rest of your life. Get in there and do it. And he went in there, and they threw him the ball, and he caught the ball on the last play. I empowered that boy But ultimately, it was him. It was him who believed in himself, believed that he can do it, and I guarantee you for the rest of his life, he will remember that catch. And every time he doubts himself, he will refer to that catch, and he will say to himself, I can do it. Take my story and put Donald Trump as the coach, but as a president. Take Ben and put that as the American people who have lost faith in our country, in the job market, in our laws, in our officials, in our systems. Donald Trump is going to bring this country to a place where we all score a touchdown. I have seen that in him, and that's why I always believed in him. Combined with a dirty, disgusting media, which we're going to be tackling that first. In terms of after this election, we're going to make sure they're done. This is the new media. Yeah, we'll clean things up a little bit and make them a little better, and we won't do phone calls like this. But we're going to make this country great again. He is going to empower us to make this country great again. Just like I didn't score the touchdown, Ben scored the touchdown. Donald Trump is going to empower you. And that's why when we do our walk-in talks and I tell you these things and I give it to you and I give it to you passionately, it's because I believe it. It's because I know it. It's because I live it. I know your pain. I know your pain. In some cases, I live it myself. I'm going to close out on this. I'm not even going to wait for the 270 because I know it's going to hit. I'm that confident. On behalf of my 4 children and my wife, I want to thank you all for the nonstop support, encouragement, faith that you have in DML. My numbers have gone up. Together, we go back and forth. You guys send me news. We look into it. We do it. I couldn't do what I do without you. And my family is so encouraged by how much you have shown me support, especially after Newsmax pulled what they did with me. And so as an American, I appreciate you for not leaving me behind. As a father, I appreciate every time you click on my website because that's how it is that we pay our bills. As your friend, I'm glad we stuck together and we won this. Tomorrow at 11:40 a.m., like clockwork, I will be on my walk and talk, and we're going to be cocky and conceited because our guy has won the presidency of the United States. We are going to blow and toot our horn, and that's it. So I used to sign out the same way every single time on my Newsmax show by saying the same thing I say every time on my walk and talk. And I'm going to say it here again. But before I do that, a little housekeeping, because I always forget to do this stuff. I used to forget it at Newsmax. I always forget it. A couple things. Number one, be sure to go to DennisMichaelLynch.com and fill in your email address. Because if they ever take me off these social medias, I'll still be able to stay in touch with you. I'm always on my website every single day, 24/7. We are a 24/7 website. Next, I had this great girl, Jill, give me the instructions to give you, and I still haven't had the time to learn them yet. But there is a way that you could get a notification on your phone about how it is to find me when I'm doing my lives. But I'm live every day at 11:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Set your alarm to it. If you like what it is I have to say and you want to be a part of what we're doing here, set your alarm and it will remind you. You don't have to check in every day, although I'm going to be here every day, but make sure you're there, because when I'm out of your news feed, and they will take me out of your news feed, you know you're still connected. And sooner or later, I'll put up how it is that you get the text message every time I go live. All right, and we are going to develop this into a fantastic show where we're going to have more cameras and we're going to have Skypes, where we're going to have great guests, Ben Carson, we'll have them all. You got to stick with me. And you come and you visit DML Daily on Facebook or Dennis Michael Lynch on Facebook, same thing every single day. And I promise you, I will never lie to you. I will never abandon you. I will tell you when it's good. I will tell you when it's bad. And I will always tell you if I don't know the answer to something. But I will tell you that I knew the Electoral College was going to elect Donald Trump. So that being said, here's how I sign out at 12 o'clock. I kept to my word from 8 to 12. May God bless you. May God bless our troops. May God bless the United States of America. And may God bless President Donald J. Trump. Good night.